I'm a fan of this song. I'm a fan of this tune. All right, ladies and gentlemen, today on stream, welcome. Today on stream, we will be going over the NBA. Where the fuck is that coming from? Okay. We're going to be going over the NBA GM survey. I know it's a couple days old at this point, but I still think we can go over it. And then we'll kind of do our own NBA GM survey, right? The slightly biased GM survey. There's only one GM, me. So it'll be basically the slightly biased survey. And then Lee Escobedo, who is the host of the Nick of Time podcast, or one of the hosts of the Nick of Time podcast. He also writes for a bunch of publications. He'll be joining us in about an hour or so. And we're going to go over, we're just going to talk about some stuff. Jalen Brunson, I'm sure, obviously. Some other Knicks stuff, some Mavs stuff. It'll be fun. Overhyped, JB, so the Knicks set an unrealistic expectations. I don't think you guys are going to like it. Well, I don't know. Some of you, I mean, the viewers of this channel, I feel like we all sort of feel the same way. I don't know if you guys are just copying me or what, but I really have no ill will towards Jalen Brunson. Like, I really don't. I can't bring myself to that point. You know, I just can't. I can't get myself to hate him. I don't know what it is. Anyway, since I talked to you guys like fucking 15 hours ago, I don't really have much else to say. Not much has happened in the NBA. Actually, well, I was going to say that there was an update on the Draymond Green situation, but then I remember that was a fake tweet. It was a hilarious tweet. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, this one right here. Pretty hilarious. I kind of thought that this was real at first because I'm an idiot. But after further inspection, obviously it's not. According to sources, Poole began telling teammates of his plan to use his lucrative new extension to install a pool in his house. I'll call it the Jordan pool because it's going to be the GOAT, Poole allegedly said. Everyone can come swim in my Jordan pool as soon as I get paid. Teammates soon tired of the joke, however, when he refused to stop telling it. When Green eventually suggested Poole find some new material, Poole said, if you keep talking like that, you won't be allowed in my Jordan pool. That's really hilarious. This is going to get some play for a long time, guys. It really is. And you've got to wonder, right? Chris Haynes has a reputation of being a very good reporter, but also of, you know, being directly, basically a mouthpiece for the players. Basically being a mouthpiece for the players. So I'm interested in who leaked this information to him. Obviously, this is fake. But I'm saying the report that he had yesterday about how the interaction was, I am very interested to know, you know. Who was it? Who leaked this? Was it Draymond himself? Is Draymond jealous because he thinks that the Warriors are going to let him walk in free agency to keep Jordan Poole? Is that where we're at? No, this is not a real story. This part is not real. Pretty fucking funny though. Definitely hilarious. Oh, let me tweet out that I'm live really quick. Live right now. Taking my own NBA GM survey. And talking about Jalen Brunson and what could have been. Tweeted. Can you imagine if this was real though? I kind of wish it was. It's probably just some teammate shit that really at the end of the day doesn't really matter that much, but still. The fact that this all leaked is really messy. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it isn't. What was the consensus on the preseason game? I missed it. Consensus was Jaden Hardy is him. McKinley Wright, you're on the team. And that's pretty it. That's pretty much it. Christian Wood looked pretty good in the third quarter. I saw, there's Rockets fans. I didn't realize this, right? I didn't know. Obviously, after the KP trade, like, sort of a rivalry between the fan bases. Between the Knicks and the Mavs was almost certainly going to happen, right? But a rivalry between the Rockets fan base and the Mavs fan base is not what I expected. And I think that we're going to see it. I think that it's going to happen. I saw so many Rockets fans yesterday shitting on Christian Wood, shitting on Mavs fans. It's going to be a thing, I think, for the rest of the season, which is unfortunate. Dorsey's not good yet. Tyler Dorsey's probably not making the team. The thing with Dorsey is he's just way smaller than I thought. Like, he is way smaller than I thought, man. And I'm not trying to be like an asshole or anything, but he's just small. And it's not like a short thing. He's pretty short, but it's also for an NBA player, right? I'm probably still a little bit taller, but it's also just kind of a smaller thing. I hope it pans out for him. He took a risk coming over here, and he's already established himself in Europe, so it's not like I'm sure there's teams over there that are willing to pay him money to come back. But I just don't know, man. Why is Cam Reddish trending? Okay, it disappeared. All right, let's get this NBA GM survey. Let's get right into it. I already know, like I already read this, so this isn't like something I'm reacting to for the first time. But we're also going to bring up, yep, you guessed it, Trusty, Dusty, Google.com, Google Docs. Let's open it, right? Sponsored. If you use code Slightly Biased at checkout, you'll be able to access Google Docs for free. Slightly Biased GM survey. Again, I'm the only GM, so I don't need your opinion or your opinion on it. I just don't think Dorsey's making the team. That's just my opinion personally, right? I just don't see it. I think like McKinley Wright seems to have a better shot. But anyways, NBA GM survey. I'm sure you guys have already seen this, right? But I want to talk about it. I want to discuss it. I think there's 50 questions in here, 50 different questions. I don't know if we're going to touch on all of them. Some of them I don't really give a shit about, but Wright looking solid. What the fuck? Yeah, he was good, man. Like, not just solid. He was legitimately like, whoa, this guy might make the team. Good. But who knows, right? We do have to remember it was against the Thunder's B team, right? And then what we saw at the end was against the Thunder's C team. But it's still good to see. Which team will win the 2023 NBA Finals? Milwaukee Bucks, 43%. Golden State Warriors, 25%. Clippers, 21%. Celtics, 11%. Kind of surprised that the Celtics are that low. Last year, the Nets had 72% of the vote. Oh, my God. I guess I don't remember them being that hype. I guess going into last year, they had Harden, right? Yeah, they started the season with Harden. Yeah, I think that Luka is playing tomorrow, and he'll probably play against Utah too, because that game's not for another month or another week. Jesus Christ, might as well be a month. That's crazy. The Nets are that high. Yeah, I would probably go. Which team will win the 2023 NBA Finals? Well, that's spoilers. I'm doing a whole preview, so that one's spoilers. I'm not touching on that one. I'm not giving away my spoilers, right? A smart streamer doesn't give away his secrets. So that one I'm not touching on. Eastern Conference rankings, they have the Bucks first, Boston second. Brooklyn gets a vote, I'm guessing. right? Like, I'm guessing 7% is probably the equivalent of 1 vote. Interesting. The Nets ceiling is so high, you know? It's just like, it's so incredibly high. Cleveland ends up getting a couple 4th place votes. Miami gets a 2nd place vote, a few 2nd place votes. I mean, Brooklyn could definitely be a 1 seed. Joel play tomorrow, but Bertans out. Yeah, Bertans is out. Bertans might actually be dealing with something. Like a knee injury at this point of the preseason is a little bit spooky. Western Conference rankings. Here we go. Dallas gets a couple 4th place votes. They're currently in this huge tie with Minnesota, who got a 3rd place vote. The Lakers and the Pelicans. So tied for 6th. Memphis, Denver, Phoenix, Golden State, Clippers ahead. Phoenix looks not good, guys. Like I don't want to make too many wild opinions. I don't want to have too many wild opinions based off of preseason, but damn, man, I just don't. Phoenix, there's just something about them right now, right? Like the life is sucked out of them. They just don't look like they have it currently. Like it seems like that window has slammed shut, and it kind of feels like they know almost. Does that make sense? You know, I could be wrong, right? Like, we're talking about preseason. We're talking about a team that's had a run to the finals, and then fast forward another year, and it's a 2nd round. You know, you win 64 games. So I'm assuming they probably just don't give a shit at all about preseason, but there's just something so uninspiring about them this year. So uninspiring. Like, the roster is great. Kind of. Their depth's really not good. Shamet is horrible. I was talking about this when we did our expansion draft. I do not like Landry Shamet as a player at all. And that contract they gave him is stinky. It really is. Denver's going to be really good. Surprised Denver didn't get a single 1st place vote. I get the Clippers, but man, injuries are a thing. Injuries are real. I'm president, and there's 0% chance that leak is real. Yeah, that leak is obviously not real. Like, it was a joke. Last year, 80% picked the Lakers to win the West. Wow. My God. I actually remember that now. I actually remember the GM poll being the Lakers and the Nets. Not only is the window to win a chip slammed shut, but they also have major internal issues, and the coach and the starting center don't talk to each other. It won't end well. Yeah, I'm surprised people are like, yeah, that doesn't sound weird. Like the hopium and copium from the Suns fans who were like, no, man, that's not weird at all. Like, that's pretty normal. Really? It's fucking normal? It's normal for a player on the team and a coach to not speak? After, not only not speak, like maybe, you know, maybe if things were going well and it was like, oh, we haven't talked, like we didn't talk in the preseason or in the offseason. Okay. That kind of makes some sense, right? But when it's yeah, we had a huge falling out and like we publicly were upset at each other in game 7 and we haven't spoken since then. That's not good. No, the vibes are fucked. Last year was 80% Lakers win the West. After the Lakers, it was Utah, Phoenix, Denver, Golden State, Clippers, and Dallas. Okay, players. Who will win the 2023 MVP? Stop putting the Kia MVP. Oh my God, I'm never gonna buy a Kia, man. Give it up. Luka Doncic, 1st place, pretty comfortably, 48% of the vote. Man. Giannis 2nd. I don't know if Giannis is going to win one this year. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of the narratives that are on his side. Luka's got some narratives, like it's his time. Brunson left, right? They just had a really deep run in the playoffs, and he was amazing. He had that game 7 moment. It just sort of feels like it's his time. I'm trying to think of what the narrative for Giannis would be. I'm kind of struggling. Embiid, the narratives would be on Embiid's side, like finished 2nd place 2 years in a row. Jokic didn't get a vote, as you'll see. There's not a single chance in hell Jokic wins. I cannot think of a single scenario in which Jokic wins the 3rd MVP in a row, unless they win like 65 games or something. But even then, man, I really struggle. Brandonius with the 69 dollars? I don't think that's $69. THB? I don't know what that is. But thank you so much for the donation. Very nice of you. Great content as always. I know. Anyways, yeah, I think it's Luka's year. I really do. I mean, where would the Mavs have to be seeding wise? Like top 4, I think, and you could realistically give it to Luka. Now the thing is I've seen a lot of people say, well, there's no way Luka is getting that. Like, there's no way Luka's getting the 4th seed. No way the Mavs are. Why not? Like, I really don't understand why. I just really don't understand why people are just like, no, there's no way the Mavs get the 4th seed. Why? Because the Clippers are going to be healthy, huh? Because Kawhi's going to go out there and play 82 fucking games. Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. Because the Phoenix Suns, who literally have shit in their diapers, apparently, they're going to come out and dominate. Oh, all right. Okay. I guess. The Grizzlies, who just like shot out of nowhere last year, like they're going to be consistently good again all year. Okay. I mean, we're assuming all of these things for different teams. When it comes to Mavs, it's like, no, they're going to suck. Like, no, we're not assuming anything. They've gotten better every single year. Doesn't matter. They addressed their weakest point as a team. Their front court doesn't matter. They lost Brunson. Like, that's all that matters. Last year was KD. Steph should be higher. I'm going to be real. Like, I could definitely see Steph winning the MVP this year. I could definitely see Steph winning the MVP. I'd actually have him second, personally, behind Luka and then Embiid. If you were starting a franchise today and could sign any player in the NBA, who would it be? Only 2 people getting votes here. Giannis and Luka. And Giannis winning. I don't have an issue with that, obviously. Yeah, these are 2 guys that you would probably pick. I saw some Nuggets fans who are like, oh my God, really? Nobody would pick Jokic? I don't know, man. I don't see the argument for Jokic over Giannis, personally, if I'm starting a team right now. And then Luka, it's just still this 23-year-old, 4 years in the league, 3 all-NBA first teams. Every year in the postseason, it's incredible, right? 3 postseason appearances. He has outperformed where he was at in the regular season each of the 3 times. He looks like one of the greatest young offensive players the league has ever seen. And Jokic is incredible too. But what is he now? He's like 26, 27, right? Mostly an age thing there. I feel the same with Philly and Embiid winning the chip and MVP. Harden and Doc chokes in the playoffs and Embiid injury prone. The Sixers are good though. So I don't mind too many people like hyping up the Sixers because they're a fucking good team. Which player forces opposing coaches to make the most adjustments? Steph, number 1. Yeah. I mean, what's your adjustment on Steph? Pray to God. Like, is that your adjustment? I'll tell you what, whatever the Celtics are doing early in the finals when they were dropping on all of the pick and rolls, that was not a good coaching adjustment right there. But seriously, though, I mean, what adjustments do you make for, like, Steph and Giannis? Giannis, you got to build the wall and pray. Steph, again, just pray. Jokic, Embiid, Luka, also receiving votes. KD, again, what is it for KD? I mean, the Celtics shut him down. All of these guys, though, all of these like insanely good offensive players, it really is just like pray. You know what really grinds my gears? Not giving away the MVP right after the regular season ends. Yeah, I do hate that. I hate how there's no date. But they do need to do that. Like, I get, like, you know, kind of drawing it out for some suspense. But the problem is, whenever you do that, people who don't know what they're talking about start to think that, like, oh my God, like Jokic lost in the first round. He shouldn't win MVP anymore. It's like, okay, well, everybody's already voted. You know, I know the NBA is drawing this out as long as possible. They are dragging this out as long as possible for some reason, unbeknownst to anybody but the NBA themselves. Which players most likely to have a breakout season 2022-2023? Evan Mobley leads the charge. Man, I like Mobley a lot. It's always everybody's definition of breakout is different. Like, let's look at some of the answers here, right? Cade Cunningham, yeah, breakout for sure. Anthony Edwards, yeah, that's a popular pick. Zion, a Zion breakout? I mean, didn't we already see that? Like, what does a breakout mean in this scenario? Haven't we already seen a Zion breakout? Anthony Davis? What is an Anthony Davis breakout? Anthony Davis was literally ranked by ESPN as the second best player in the NBA 2 years ago. Rudy Gobert? What the fuck? He's 30 years old. Jalen Green, okay. Tyrese Halliburton, yeah. Kuminga, all right. Tyrese Maxey, I mean, Jesus Christ, he's going bazooka. He's going crazy. He's going crazy this preseason so far. Ben Simmons? Like, what? Anthony Simons, Franz Wagner. I think if Mobley breaks out, Cleveland's going to be insane. Am I the only one super low on Philly? I like Maxey and Harden can be better, but we all know Embiid will be injured and the team falls apart. Yeah, I mean, for them, it's not like the talent where you're like, no, I don't know. Like, I guess maybe a little bit for Harden. It's mostly the Doc effect. Sixers fans will be like, oh, well, the Embiid injuries in the playoffs, those are like fluke injuries. You can't really count those. Yeah, you can. He's been injured every single postseason. And his performance has suffered greatly because of it. You count it. Like, at a certain point, it's just who you are, man. For one reason or another, you are constantly injured. And then Doc Rivers, obviously. Who is the best point guard in the NBA? Come on. That's too big of a gap. I'm in Thailand, so I only send Thai funds. Love your channel. Hey, thanks, man. Also, love Thailand. Want to go and visit there badly. That's towards the top of my list of destinations I want to go to. But thank you very much for the donation, man. This is too big of a gap. I'm just calling it like it is. Way too big of a gap. But you see, the problem is you have Luka here, Luka here, Luka here. So Luka gets votes for the best point guard, best shooting guard, best small forward. Devin Booker at 45%. It does make you wonder, like, I don't know, the positionless basketball thing. It's like, where is Paul George? Like, on that Clippers team, he's playing the 2 technically. And in which case, he's better than Devin Booker without a shadow of a doubt. But Steph Curry's here for fucking shooting guard. What's going on? Like, the shooting guard position is just so. Is it like a weak shooting guard class? Is that what it is? Like traditional shooting guards? What the hell is Steph Curry doing on the shooting guard list? I guess, what are they saying? Like, Poole is the point guard? Or like Draymond? Steph doesn't really do point guard stuff? I don't know. The gap is way closer between Steph and Luka than people think. If you even think there is one. Some people out there, I won't name names, right? Some people out there who run a YouTube channel, won't name names. Some people out there who have some of the greatest streams this platform's ever seen, I won't name who, think that Luka's actually better. KD, best small forward. KD also getting votes for power forward. This is just a mess. They need to do away with this. This is a complete and total mess. Oh, and I saw a bunch of Sixers fans mad at this. They're like, I can't believe Joel Embiid only got 17% of the vote as the best center. It's like, man, Jokic just won 2 straight MVPs. Like, you know? Giannis getting a vote for best center. Just do away with this shit. Luka got the 4th most votes. Our 4th highest percentage of total votes on position questions. So, in other words, he's a top 4 player in the league. Giannis, Steph, Jokic, Luka. That's a pretty good top 4. I think that's probably what my top 4 would be. I am doing a top 150 players or 115 players list. Spencer, what's up? What do you guys think I should do that as? Do you think I should do that as a video or as a stream? What do you guys think? Yeah, if you guys haven't liked the stream yet, make sure you do so. I mean, like a quarter of you have liked the stream. That's pathetic. I'm going to be honest with you. I know it's the preseason, but the regular season's right around the corner. We need to kick it into high gear. Stream. I feel like, yeah, I think stream too, actually. I was thinking about that earlier today. So I'm kind of thinking next week, right? The Mavs play on Friday of next week. That's it. I'm thinking a stream Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in preparation for the NBA season. NBA season starts the next Tuesday. So I was thinking Monday, like a Western Conference preview. Tuesday, Eastern Conference preview. Wednesday, awards, stuff like that. Like I want to do like which teams I think will have the top 5 best defenses, top 5 best offenses. And then Thursday, top 115 players. Then Friday, Mavs play. And then boom, next week we're going. What do you guys think about that? I don't want to commit to it though, because that's a big commitment. All right, off-season moves. Here we go. Which team made the best overall moves in the offseason? Cavs? Yeah, they fucking hit it out of the park. Timberwolves up here. Remember that one exec poll? What's that? Athletic? Some people said the Timberwolves had the worst offseason. Sixers had a good offseason too. Jazz. Okay, Jazz getting some votes. Jazz getting some votes. I agree. I think that they had a great offseason. I do. I really like their offseason. I like just that's just a hard thing to do for a small market team, right? To recognize that it's time to blow it up. You know, you were a competitive team. You got for small markets, as far as small markets go, you really kind of went as far as you could go almost. Not really. Small markets have won championships, right? Milwaukee, the Spurs, obviously, but you were the 1 seed. You know what I mean? It didn't work out, and I think you recognized at the perfect time it was time to get out. So I agree. I actually think I like their offseason. Like, it's kind of weird because I can't put their offseason ahead of the Cavs, but I actually think I probably like their offseason the most. But I do agree. It's a little bit too early. It's too early to say. The picks have to pan out. Celtics, yeah, I'm surprised the Celtics weren't higher up here. I mean, obviously the Udoka situation's horrible, but roster-wise, they made good moves. Kings? Okay, yeah, Kevin Huerter, Malik Monk. Which one player acquisition will make the biggest impact? Yeah, Donovan Mitchell, obviously. Gobert, yeah. I mean, there's Brunson, yeah. PJ Tucker. Last year, Kyle Lowry at 77%. Did nobody change teams last year? Was last offseason just a snooze fest? I'm trying to remember. Kyle Lowry, really? 77%? What was the most underrated? Malcolm Brogdon. Really? Underrated? I guess people forgot about it, but that was a pretty big move at the time. PJ Tucker, yeah. John Wall, okay. DeAnthony Melton. I love the DeAnthony Melton move. I really do. That was a great pickup. I do kind of agree. That's very underrated. Boyan, all right. Barton and Morris for Washington. KCP for Denver. Gobert, really? Underrated? Seriously? They traded their entire fucking franchise. Jeremy Grant, Kevin Huerter, DeJounte Murray. I don't know if I would call that underrated either. Royce O'Neal. Nets not trading stars. That's a good one. That's a good one. I actually like that answer. Last year was Larry Nance Jr. Which team will be most improved in 2021-2022? Clippers. That feels like such a cop-out. But yes, if they're healthy, they should. Isn't that not just a cop-out answer? Brunson to save the Knicks franchise. We're going to be talking about Brunson in detail here in a bit. Probably like another 20 minutes or so. I'm not going to lie, boys. Pinson's pod is kind of bad. I haven't really listened to it. I saw the clips from Spencer Dinwiddie. Interesting stuff Dinwiddie was saying, but a lot of player podcasts aren't very good. But it is interesting to hear like the inside stuff. But I haven't listened to the Theo Pinson podcast, so I can't really say. Yeah, Larry Nance on the Mavs would be cool, but it's not happening. Cavaliers, Pelicans, Timberwolves. Also receiving votes for the Nets, Pistons, Trailblazers, and Kings. I mean, if we're taking injuries out of the equation, just based off of where the teams were roster-wise a year ago, the team that improved the most is definitely the Trailblazers. Right? I mean, they went from... I mean, think about their team last year at the end of the season. You still had Dame, who was hurt, obviously, but they then add Gary Payton. They add Jeremy Grant. They extend Anthony Simons. He was already there. Who else did they bring in? Like, their offseason sounds way better in my head. Do you think Hardy might move ahead of Frank in the rotation? I don't know. I have no idea what to expect from Jane Hardy. I'm not expecting much. I don't want to set myself up for disappointment. What was the most surprising move of the offseason? Gobert to Minnesota? That was pretty shocking. Donovan Mitchell to Cleveland, I think was a little bit more shocking than Gobert to Minnesota. But maybe they're saying like the haul that Minnesota had to give up to get him. That was definitely shocking. Because I remember on this channel, we were talking about, yo, should the Mavs make a move? Should the Mavs make a move on Rudy Gobert? And I was saying, like, maybe we give up one first. Like, that's what I was thinking it would cost. Just because the contract, the age. I didn't think Rudy Gobert would go for as much as he did. That's definitely surprising. But Donovan Mitchell going to Cleveland is pretty shocking. Down the stretch, they tank harder than anybody ever. Yeah, their tank job last season was insane. And it's funny because there's, like, I saw a report that NBA execs were saying the tanking this year is going to be nuts. I'm kind of excited in a weird way to see who ends up like in the fucking shameless race to the bottom. All you have to do is be top 4, right? Isn't it the bottom 4 teams all have the same odds? Andre Drummond to Chicago. What? Who the hell's even thinking about that move? Russell Westbrook to the Lakers last year? That was so shocking. Rookies and international. Who will win 2022-2023 Rookie of the Year? Paolo, 79%. Damn. Keegan Murray, 2nd. Jabari Smith, 3rd. I mean, it is Paolo's to lose. Number 1 overall pick. His game just screams Rookie of the Year. But, man, what we see from Keegan Murray, I wouldn't be shocked. Especially if the Kings are kind of good. Luke had a case to win MVP the last 3 years. I don't know if I'd go that far. Hardy Party will win Rookie of the Year. Who's like another candidate? You know, I'm trying to think. Who are like the sneaky candidates? Just based off of what we've seen so far. I feel like Jaden Ivey, as of right now, is going to be just a little too hot and cold sometimes. Although I really do like his game. So I don't know if I'll put him there. I feel bad for whatever taking team gets Wimby because I could see him forcing himself out for some reason. I don't know. I honestly haven't watched any of the Pacers yet. I don't know anything about Mathurin. Shaden Sharp has looked okay. I don't know how much time he's going to get early on, though. Dyson Daniels has looked pretty good. But they're kind of... That's just another, like, deep team. I don't know how much time he's going to get. Dochan's going to have a chance to play a lot. Johnny Davis, I doubt it. Zhang, I just wasn't that impressed with him. I was way more impressed with Jalen Williams last night. Whatever happened to Zhang, by the way? He left the game with that injury. Duran, I don't know if he'll play enough. Abaji could be interesting. I like his game, and on the Jazz now, a team that's gonna be terrible. I could see something interesting happening there. Mark Williams, no, just not a Rookie of the Year type player. AJ Griffin, nah, probably won't play enough. Eason, maybe. Dalen Terry probably won't play enough. Laravia probably won't play enough. Like down here, we're getting to the guys who are not going to play enough, more than likely. To really be considered. Besides this guy right here. Yeah, Easton I could see having a really good season, and maybe. But I think if I were putting my money on anybody, it would be Paolo. But Murray's the interesting one. Which rookie will be the best player in 5 years? Eric, thanks for subscribing. Paolo, number 1. Chet, number 2. Ivy, Jabari, and then Keegan. Dyson Daniels received a vote, and so did Mathurin. Best player in 5 years? Man, there's just something about Keegan Murray to me. I don't know. He doesn't have the highest ceiling. Like Chet, Paolo definitely have higher ceilings. Jabari Smith too. And Jabari Smith's looked good in the preseason. I'd even maybe go Jaden Ivey as a higher ceiling. Jaden Ivey's first step is unbelievable. But damn, there's something about Keegan, man. It's just like, he just is like a winning player. Yeah, Chet already having leg injuries is terrifying. Something about Keegan's game. Mathurin. That's what I'm saying. Mathurin. Hey, man, I'm from the South. The way I say things, right? In my head, I'm saying Mathurin. Which rookie was the biggest steal when he was selected in the draft? There he is. There's my boy. All right. Duran, wasn't he supposed to be like a top 4 or 5 pick, like going into last year, right? Not like going into the draft, but the start of the whole draft process before the college season started. Eason, a lot of people love Eason, man. AJ Griffin. Shane Sharp. It's just so weird to me. Shane Sharp looks pretty good. I'm not going to lie. Like the clips that I've seen of him. But it's just so weird to me how if Jaden Hardy took the route Shane Sharp went, he's probably a top 15 pick. Who's the best international player in the NBA? Giannis 57%, Luka 28%, Jokic 16%. My God, this is a fucking stacked international. Like, man, I'm telling you that if they were to do like a world game, you know, like some type of series where it's USA versus the world, you know, kind of how they do like the Rising Stars, but it was NBA players. It would be a good game. I don't think the world team would be deep enough, but they're starting 5. Wow. Luka running point. Who would be your 2? That would maybe be a weakness now that I'm thinking about it. Who would be your 2 guard? Or just another wing player? Because then you would just, I would just go stupid big. I would just have Giannis, Jokic, and Embiid. Who would I have running the 2? I mean, you would need shooting. Wiggins? Yeah, that's true. Wiggins or Shea? I was thinking Europe personally, but yeah, you're right. I forgot about the Canadians. What up, Colton? Like, that would be a fun little event. Who is the best international player not in the NBA? Wembanyama. Mirotic. Is he ever going to come back, you think? That's kind of crazy. Like, he had, like, a big role on good NBA teams and was a highly sought-after free agent. Was just like, yo, I'm out of here. Saw you should model. I have an interesting story about that, actually. One night I was out, not too long ago. And, this person came up to me, and they were like, hey, I work at a hair modeling. I do like hair modeling stuff. Give me your number, and we'll bring you in to our studio next week. And I said, hell yeah. Gave them my number. They hit me up. They said, yo, Thursday, Friday, come on in. And never heard back from them again. You know, the game is the game. The game is the game. Micic. He just won EuroLeague MVP, right? That's him. Defense. Who's the best defensive player in the NBA? Giannis. Yeah. Draymond. Yeah. Gobert. Yeah, that's pretty a consensus top 3, I feel like. Was a sex trafficking ploy? Bam. Drew. Kawhi. I don't know about that anymore, honestly. Ben Simmons and Wiggins. Someone's missing. Someone's missing. Draymond is further down. No, Draymond is probably going to win Defensive Player of the Year if he didn't get hurt. You can probably say the same thing about Bam, though. Sorry, Dorian. Who's the best perimeter defender in the NBA? Dude, I'm sorry. I was watching the... You son of a bitch. I was watching the... What'd you trade for Draymond? I don't know. That's a tough one. I would trade for Draymond, by the way. But I don't know how much I would give up. I was just watching the Hawks and the Bucks. By the way, again, day basketball. You got to make it a thing. Maybe only like 1 or 2 days a week, but there's got to be a day basketball, man. It's so fun. It just is. It's so nice to. It's like noon. You're like, oh shit, there's a game on. Nice. You watch it, then it's 3 o'clock, right? You go do whatever, and then boom, the games start. The night games. Yeah, I'm taking Holiday over Marcus Smart for sure. Like, I'm sorry, Drew Holiday's been the best perimeter defender in the NBA for like 8 years. Seriously, he's been amazing. Kawhi, not anymore, man. Mikal Bridges, yeah. Paul George, I don't know about it anymore. Ben Simmons, yeah. Wiggins, yeah. Day basketball, Thursday and Fridays. Like maybe a Wednesday or something, and they do a thing. Right? Like I know MLB does a thing where sometimes they'll have like day games on YouTube where you can just watch on YouTube for free. And that's like such a cool thing. The NBA could do something similar. I don't know if they would ever do that. It's kind of different because baseball there's 162 games, right? So, throwing some day games in, you're probably not going to get full capacity in the stadium, whatever. We don't give a fuck. We have 1,000 other games. The NBA, can't really do that. But if you just had each team has to have one home day game, I think it'd be nice, and then you could I don't know, maybe stream it on YouTube or something, and it would just be a nice way. It'd just be a nice way to showcase teams that maybe you wouldn't really showcase otherwise. Like maybe the Pistons. Maybe it's like, hey, look at Franz Wagner. And then a casual fan who doesn't really watch, or not the Pistons, I meant the Magic, but a casual fan who maybe doesn't watch Franz Wagner or the Magic ever, watches the game, like, damn, Franz Wagner is good. Like, this kid's nice. Maybe I should watch more Pistons games. Early games on Saturday would be nice. They do that sometimes. They do day games. They'll put them on like ABC and stuff. The Mavs in the Mavs Celtics game where Dinwiddie hit that game-winning shot last year was a day game. Didn't Luka get one vote in some defensive category? No, it wasn't. It wasn't defensive. It was the best off-ball mover. Who's the best interior defender in the NBA? I mean, this should honestly be Gobert 100%. Like, let's just be real. Giannis and Draymond, yeah. I mean, it should be Gobert 100%. Who's the most versatile defender in the NBA? See, Dorian needs to have a vote. Like, statistically, Dorian is actually the most versatile defender in the NBA. Just saying, he is. Statistically, he's the only guy, 99th percentile or better, versatility and matchup difficulty. Just don't. That's not even the. That's just what the stats say. That's not even what I say. That's what the stats say, and I'm just reading them. But yeah, you're gonna give it to the guys who can like guard centers and shit, and then also guard on the perimeter. So yeah, Mikal Bridges, yeah. Paul George, yeah. Jaren Jackson, really? Kawhi, lots of Kawhi votes, man. Is this his uncle? Is this Uncle Dennis? Pascal, okay. Ben Simmons is uber versatile. Which is the best offensive team in the NBA? Celtics, Warriors, Heat, Bucks. Yeah. Clippers and Grizzlies receiving votes. I do think the Mavs are going to be a top 7 defense again. But it is like these teams, I think, on paper are definitely better defensively. Who's the best head coach in the NBA? Spoelstra by a mile. I think that's pretty fair. Steve Kerr, yeah. Pop, slipping a little bit. Monty Williams, Ty Lue, Budenholzer. It's so funny, Budenholzer. If the Bucks don't win that finals, he probably gets fired. Like, that's where they were at. Taylor Jenkins is a great coach. If you told me Spoelstra would still be around in 2022 back in 2006, I would have called you crazy. I mean, even early in the Heedle days, it seemed like LeBron hated him. Like, you got to respect Spoelstra for surviving the LeBron. Surviving the LeBron-led team. Usually, coaches do not survive. They're just the easy scapegoat. Spoelstra's an amazing coach, though. And it's so crazy, too, because he's been coaching for so long, right? Isn't he the second longest tenured coach in the NBA currently? Behind Pop? And, or I guess Carlisle's been coaching way longer. I think it's, like, with the same team. There's definitely coaches who have been around longer, but for the same team, he's currently the longest tenured head coach, and he's only 51. Like, realistically, you could get another 20 years of coaching. By the time machine, I'd go back. Shoot Uncle Dennis in the face? Okay, that's a little aggressive. Spoelstra has staying power? Yeah. I remember people calling for Budenholzer's head after they won. Yeah, Budenholzer, like... Yeah, Spoelstra looks really good for 51, too. I've lived in Houston for a minute, so when I go for Mavs away games here, the tickets have been ridiculous and way too expensive. Mavs, we travel. Which head coach is the best manager / motivator of people? Steve Kerr, number 1. Monty Williams. Yeah, Monty Williams has always been like that. Spoelstra, Ty Lue, Greg Popovich, Willie Green for New Orleans, Taylor Jenkins. I mean, it's just kind of hard for like a fan. We don't know. We're not in there. Which head coach makes the best in-game adjustments? Jason Kidd gets a nod here. I mean, Monty Williams better not be on here. I was about to say, Jason Kidd coached fucking laps around Monty Williams. It was actually insane to watch. Ty Lue, Nick Nurse. Yeah, Ty Lue's kind of known for that. Nick Nurse. I'm kind of surprised Nick Nurse is not... Wow, it's the first appearance of him. Interesting. Spoelstra. I'm sure he'll be here on the defense, right? Yeah, there he is. Second on defense. Best offense? Yeah, the Golden State offense is insane. Chris Finch. Okay. Budenholzer, Nick Nurse, Rick Carlisle, always been a great offensive-minded coach. Taylor Jenkins, Monty Williams. Yeah, ask Kate what he thinks. Which head coach is the best defensive scheme? Spoelstra, Nurse. No Kid appearance. Thibodeau. Womp, womp, womp. Which new or relocated head coach make the biggest impact on his new team? Darvin Ham. Yeah, I mean... What are the other options? Mike Brown, Steve Clifford again in Charlotte. Ugh. The best assistant coach in the NBA. Kenny Atkinson, Charles Lee, Indy Mavs. Greg St. Jean. There's Igor. Which active player make the best? This is really interesting. Garrett Temple. Right? Like, that's something the fans would ever be like, yeah, Garrett Temple. Fans are always like, yeah, LeBron. Fucking LeBron's going to be a head coach. Kawhi's probably going to be a head coach. Like, the superstars are really hardly ever head coaches. It'll be like a Garrett Temple. It'll be like a Garrett Temple or a Matthew Della Vedova. Taj Gibson. Jalen Brunson getting a vote. Any other Mavs or former Mavs on here? Nope, no former Mavs, I guess. Miscellaneous. Which team is the most fun to watch? Golden State? Yeah. Grizzlies? Yeah. Two very fun teams. Nets? Really? I don't know if I would go that far. Celtics, Nuggets, Raptors. These guys aren't real league pass enjoyers. Which team has the best home court advantage? Raptors? Really? That's actually shocking. I don't think I got this far down. Celtics. Nuggets. Yeah, I think Nuggets would have to have the highest one just because you're also playing in the altitude. It's actually kind of shocking Golden State's this low. I guess it's the new arena. Jazz? The Jazz crowd is always raucous, but the Mavs didn't give a single fuck. Knicks. Heat? Really? I disagree. I think the Heat crowd's usually terrible. Bucks, Sixers. I'm shocked the Sixers aren't higher. They usually have pretty good crowds. Which team will have the league's most efficient offense this season? Golden State, Bucks, Nuggets, Clippers, Sixers, Suns, Hawks. Hawks would actually be my vote, honestly. Like, being honest with you, they would actually be my vote. Nets, Grizzlies. I think Trae Young's going to have a monstrous year. Which team's level of success this season is toughest to predict? Nets? Yeah, 1,000%. We talked about that whenever we had the range of outcomes for each and every team. The Nets were the hardest ones. The Lakers, is it really that tough? I mean, let's be honest. Right. What's there to predict? The only real prediction is how many games is Anthony Davis going to miss? How long does it take until Russ isn't playing? Grizzlies, They're kind of tough. Bulls, yeah. Timberwolves, yeah. Pelicans, yeah. These new teams are always kind of tough to predict. Sixers, sure. Clippers, yeah. Health. Trailblazers, yeah. Agreed. Which team has the most promising young core? Cavs, for sure. Their young core's nuts. Garland, Mitchell, Allen, Mobley. Damn. Pretty jealous. Pretty jealous of what they've got going on over there. Grizzlies, yeah. Not only like the Grizzlies obviously have Jaren Jackson, you have Desmond Bane, you have John Morant. But God, it feels like every time they draft a new player, Zaire Williams, good immediately. Laravia, probably going to be good immediately. Like every time they draft a new player, it's just like they're immediately contributors. OKC, had they not drafted Chet? Pelicans, Thunder, and Magic. Usually the Thunder are way higher. The Hawks had the most. Wow. Last year, the Hawks had the most promising young core. I guess they just came off of an Eastern Conference Finals appearance last year, but damn. Who was it? Trae Young and John Collins and Herter? And DeAndre Hunter? I guess Cam Reddish, who had some promising moments that playoff series. Who would you take? Cavs young core or Luka? Luka for sure. Come on. Which players are most athletic? Ja? Yeah, Giannis, Anthony Edwards, Zion. Look at LeBron still getting votes. I'm sorry. After watching Zion, it's got to be him. Like, holy shit. It doesn't make sense what he does. It really doesn't. Ja's obviously uber athletic too. Which player is the best pure shooter? How is this not 100%? I mean, come on. Clay, seriously? After last year? No. It's got to be 100% Steph. Which player is fastest with the ball? John, De'Aaron Fox. Which player is the best? Oh, here it is. Which player is the best at moving without the ball? Steph, how is he not 100%? Klay Thompson, Mikal Bridges, and Luka Doncic. That's right. You guys know, right? Us Mavs fans, we always rave about Luka's off-ball movement. So this makes so much sense. This is how you know. This is how you know ball, right? Which player is the best passer? Jokic by a fucking mile. Then Luka and Chris Paul. Man, Luka should not be tied with Chris Paul. Also receiving votes, Steph Curry. Seriously? Ugh. LeBron. Yeah, obviously. Surprised Trey didn't get a vote. Like, take Steph out and give Trey a vote. But I think Jokic is probably the best passer. Like, his size and everything, it's insane. And then Luka. Like, I think those two are honestly in a tier of their own. Maybe add Trey into the mix. Which player is the best leader? Chris Paul? Sorry. Steph, LeBron, Giannis, Dame, Jimmy. Okay, whatever. These are all boring. Who's the most versatile player? Giannis, yeah. LeBron, KD, Kawhi, Paul George, Ben Simmons. Okay. The best basketball IQ? LeBron, number 1. Jokic, Chris Paul, Steph, Luka. Which player would you want taking a shot with the game on the line? Steph. Really? Wasn't there like a... Okay. I mean, he just won the finals, so I can't really say anything. KD, Dame, DeMar, Luka. See, give me Luka. Like, it's just, he's going to make it. How many, like, not just buzzer beaters and game winners or game tires, but fucking insane, right? Rookie year, in the corner against Portland, literally touches the ball for a millisecond, throws it up in the corner, tie game. Buzzer beater. Crazy shot. Year number 3 against the Grizzlies. The step through floater 3 at the buzzer to win the game. Celtics last year. Insane fadeaway 3 to win the game. Like, you know, give me him, man. The in the bubble against the Clippers. Jokic too. Jokic is a fucking killer in the clutch, especially against the Mavericks. Especially against the Mavericks. He's an absolute killer in the clutch. Kawhi, oh my god. These last two guys just murder the Mavericks. DeMar? Really? Didn't he have some of the worst clutch numbers? I guess I'm just thinking about his playoffs, but yeah, DeMar. Okay, what rule? Okay, I'm actually interested in this. What rule regarding play schedule, draft lottery, playoff format, etc. most needs change? The number 1 is coaches' challenges. So are they saying get rid of them? Huh. I actually wouldn't mind that. Jokic is a killer all the time. The guy just doesn't miss. Man, there was a stretch where Remember Luka's rookie year? He had that dunk to go ahead, and then Jokic hit this insane shot to win the game afterwards. Like, it just feels like he always kills the Mavs in clutch time. But I guess that's for everyone. You saw the Grizzlies buzzer beater in person? I was actually streaming that. That was actually one of the big... That was probably only like my 10th stream. That was one of like the big moments of this channel's history was me streaming that. Free agency before draft. I actually have seen a lot of people want to change this. Mandatory draft medical information. Lottery odds. Flatten or wheel proposal. I don't know what wheel proposal is, but what does flatten mean? Like, no more lottery at all? Playoff format, including no play-in if 9th, 10th place too far back. I actually agree with this rule. I think I like the play-in, but I think it should only happen if it's within a certain... It's within a certain... like, the race is close enough. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense if a team who's, like, the 7th seed and has a 12-game lead on the 8th seed or something, they shouldn't have to play, like, a win-or-go-home game. Like, I think they've earned it. Elam ending? What's that again? Don't like late game fouling? First team to target score wins. Oh, this is what they do in the All-Star game. Wow, they're pushing this. Look at this propaganda. This is like a fucking... I don't know. That's kind of a fun idea, but I don't know. More leeway for defense. Yeah, I actually kind of agree. Schedule. Okay. Luxury tax. Own drafted Supermax player. 1 free throw attempt for all trips to the line. What? 1 free throw attempt for all attempts, for all trips to the line. They do what in G League? The 1 free throw attempt? No matter the foul? Oh my God. Like, then you would just foul every single time. Rotations would actually run like 15 people deep because you'd have guys where you just throw out there. Interesting. No divisions. Nothing. Nothing. Wow. This is a fucking kiss ass. Whoever said this is a kiss ass. Nothing, Mr. Silver. Your league is perfect, sir. It would still count as 2 or 3 points. Oh. Oh, that's actually kind of interesting. So you go to the free throw line. If you get fouled going up for a dunk, if you make the free throw, you get 2 points. That's kind of interesting. I'm not going to lie to you. I wouldn't hate that. Imagine getting fouled and 1 3-point free throw wins a game. That would be insane. I don't hate that at all. That's not bad. Elam ending, that would just be really tough. That would be really tough to implement. You know, the game's been the game for how long? Like, that's a gigantic change. That's not like take fouls or something. That's like you are like fundamentally changing the way the game is played. And like basketball fans would have to really adjust. I mean, it's great in the All-Star game. It really is. It makes it pretty fun. I agree with the, I mean, this shit is not for us. The mandatory draft medical information, that's for the GMs. Free agency before draft. I'm going to say, as a fan, no. Unless you're pushing the draft really far back. I like how it's all kind of paced out. We get the draft in June, then we wait a little bit, then we boom, free agency July 1st. Like, it just keeps the offseason going. Unless you moved the draft way back to like mid-July or something. I actually wouldn't hate them getting rid of coaches' challenges, to be honest with you. It would be tough on the players because sometimes they really rely on those moments to rest while someone takes two. That's true too. For team building, having the draft after makes sense. No, for sure. I agree. But also, it's not like... I don't know. NBA's different because it's like... Rarely ever would you draft based off of need. It's not like the NFL where like you go into the draft and it's like, okay, this fucking 4th round pick is going to start day 1 for me. Like, I need a middle linebacker. This kid I'm drafting in the 4th round, he'll start. All right, I need a running back. I'll draft this kid in the 5th round. He'll start day 1. Right? Okay, now I don't have to worry about running back in free agency. Their free agency is first, right? NBA, it's like, I mean, what? The Spurs suck dick, but oh my god, we just extended Jakob Poeltl in free agency. So you know what? We're not gonna draft Wembanyama. Okay. Pretty interesting GM poll. You know, pretty interesting stuff. It's time to talk about what you guys love to talk about. The topic that will never go away. And I have said before that I was done talking about it, but it's just never going to go away. It just won't. Every good game he has, it's all we'll ever talk about. Every good game he has, every bad game he has, every Hey, Side Bias, what song is this? Rue by Velda. Velda, we don't know who they are, right? They're like a ghost. But they're on this music platform I use, and damn. Alright, let me open up Discord. There's a chance that this, I haven't used Discord in a stream in a long time. So let's see. Let's see if this all pans out. This is all live. We haven't tested anything. Hello. Lee, can you hear me? I honestly don't care about JB anymore. Dude didn't want to be here. That's kind of what I've been saying. Making a Velda. Where can you even find them? Like, are they on Spotify? On the other Spotify page, it's some blonde girl. We should get her on the show. I don't know if she knows she's fueling the entire Slightly Biased soundtrack. It's not even like I'm searching her stuff. I'm just on the Honestly, Brunson looks good in a Knicks jersey. Well, I mean, the Knicks jerseys are kind of classic. Like, you know, like... They're kind of classic. Okay, fuck, man. I'm bad at... I'm trying to figure out my this Discord shit. It's been a long time since I've done it. Streamlabs, OBS, virtual camera. Should be working. At first I assumed she was like your girl. No, she's not. She's not. I don't even know. I didn't even know she was a girl. Like, I knew nothing about her, but I just used this website that's like free. It's like free music. Like you pay like I don't know what it is. It's a small amount of money, but you pay it and you can like license music. And she was always the there we go. She was always the like the best songs. All right, we're waiting for Lee. Lee Escobedo is going to be joining us as soon as we figure this out. He's the co-host of the Nick of Time show, a New York Knicks show you can find over here on YouTube. It's a very New York Knicks feel. Like, I can't describe it, but the Knicks but there's just something so distinct about New York Knicks YouTube shows. I don't know how to describe it. Also, while all things Mavs so hype about wanting the Knicks to have a bad season, I don't know, man. I can't force myself to be petty like that. I just really can't. I couldn't watch the game yesterday. How was Hardy? I saw you had a 20 piece. Did he look good? He looked okay to start the game, and then fourth quarter, closing time, ice in his fucking veins. He scored how many of his points? Wasn't it like 16 in the fourth? Something like that. And it looked good too, man. Catch and shoot threes. That's what's really intriguing. That's what's really exciting, actually, because there was just 3-point shooting numbers weren't the best in the G League, but Lee, hello.
Yo.
All right, here we are.
Let's go.
We got you in here. I don't see your webcam.
I don't see your
Oh, there's a vicious echo.
It should be better.
Yeah, I'll turn the music down.
Yeah, you see me?
I can see you. Let me get you up
go.
on the stream. What's up, man? We were just talking about the about Brunson. Talking about the Knicks a little bit.
I was listening.
You know, we're talking about how there's a lot of Mavs fan accounts who just really wishing the worst on him. And I was just saying, I can't get there. You know what I mean? I can't get there with hating on Brunson. The way that some other Mavs fans really want to for some reason.
A lot of my Mavs fans were saying, like, the daddy's boy when he joined the Knicks. Like, oh, he's going to go play for his daddy. If he's daddy's boy going to the Knicks. But I really think he's going to an opportunity where he's going to be ball dominant, have the ball in his hands, and really allow himself to be the centerpiece in the offense, which he'll never get in Dallas.
Yeah. So you think that's a big reason?
Yeah, I think having the ball in his hands and being the number one option in terms of not necessarily the number one scoring option, but the dictator of the offense, I think was a primary reason why he wanted to come to New York. And the Mavs were most successful when he was on ball and Luka was off.
See, I think that's not. I mean, I don't know. We'll never know. I feel like that's something knowing Brunson, well, not knowing him personally, obviously, but following his career, that's nothing he would ever say. I don't think personally. Yeah. Like, it's all been very cordial, like both sides. Right? Like Brunson's wished nothing but the best for the Mavs. Same with the Mavs. Everybody who gets asked about Brunson's like, yeah, we're really happy for him and all this stuff. I just think the stars align. That's been my take the entire time. Like, it was just, he was the best realistic guard on the market, right? For teams. It was kind of a weak free agent class. The Knicks had the most money, right? Going into the free agency. And obviously, I mean, point guard's been a need since what? Ever? Since Starks?
Honestly, since Mark Jackson in the early 90s.
Yeah.
So, Starberry was nice, but he wasn't the answer.
I always liked Raymond Felton, right? He always has a soft spot in my heart for some reason. But it just aligned perfectly. I mean, he's got the Rose connection. He's got the his dad obviously has the connection with Thibodeau.
Yeah.
It just aligned so perfectly. And it sucked for the Mavs, but
I think too that the Knicks were a unique situation where 75% of that roster does not self-initiate their offense. They need a lead guard to get them in positions not only to score, but to really reach their full potential and hit their ceiling. And Alec Burks last year, who's a shooting guard, small forward. I mean, Thibodeau was playing him at point.
Yeah.
After the Kemba Walker experiment just like blew up in their faces. So that was a situation of all 29 teams that he had the opportunity to go to. The Knicks were the ones that needed him the most. And I think he really wanted to feel needed and felt like that he was going to a place where his particular skill set would not just advance his career, but make other guys better and really equal wins. And New York is a perfect opportunity for that after one preseason game, and all Knicks fans are overreacting.
No, I watched that preseason game. Like, that's who Brunson is. Like, that's not like some, oh my God, he just had an insane shooting night. I mean, he shot like 7 of 9. Like, that's not going to happen every night, obviously. Right. But that play style you saw, that's who Brunson is. That's what you can expect pretty much every single game. I think he's going to be great there. Like, I don't think he's gonna be bad. Like I've seen some Mavs fans be like, he's not ready to be a lead guard. I think he can be a starting point guard and a good one, right? Like obviously, his playmaking is not where I think some Knicks fans think it is personally, but it's pretty good. His creation is great. That's what's like Brunson's top skill. His shot creation is very, very good.
Yeah, there's two complementary reactions to that. The first one is this Knicks roster, because of a lack of a true point guard, Leon Rose has really built it for the playmaking to come outside of the point guard position. So RJ Barrett is above average playmaker. Julius Randle, when his head's in the right sphere, is a very good playmaker. Obi Toppin off the bench, Evan Fournier, Isaiah Hartenstein, all these guys are good playmakers for their position. I'm not equating them to what Spencer Dinwiddie or another, above average point guard can do for another team, but the team itself is good at playmaking, find guys, find cutters, find backdoors, find lobs outside the point guard position. So he's joining a team that already has that methodology in place, and he's joining a very good point guard rotation with Derrick Rose backing him up, who is one of the best backup guards in the NBA, Emmanuel Quickley, and Deuce McBride. He's not coming here as a lone savior and the lone point guard. He goes down, the Knicks season's in the toilet. He's actually joined the best point guard rotation we've had in decades, which is a huge positive.
Yeah, I think that's another thing too. Like, it's not like it's all or nothing. Like Brunson has to come in and play like a superstar or else the Knicks are doomed. Like it's not, you guys are perfectly built up for, I mean, realistically, okay, what do you think the ceiling is for the Knicks? Me personally, I think the realistic ceiling is hosting a playoff series. Like would be.
Ooh, I think you're higher than me. I think realistic 5th to 6th seed.
Yeah.
I think we're in the play-in, no matter what, we're in the playoff tournament.
And that's not, I mean, the East is pretty brutal.
It is, but I think we're super deep. We're one of the deepest teams in the entire NBA, and we have an above-average coach. So I think with the addition of Brunson, another step up from RJ, re-signing Mitch and bringing Hartenstein, I think we're 5th to 6th seed is the ceiling right now.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking at it now because we did on stream a couple days ago, best worst case scenario for every team. We put the Knicks at 6th. It was like the best case.
That's what I think we are.
I mean, to get 4th, there would have to be some injuries, right? And we took that out of the equation entirely. Like we just assumed every team was healthy, and then we had worse 11th.
I do think Brunson hit some personal individual accolades this year. I think he'll be in the running for most improved player, and I think he's got a shot. If New York rallies behind him the same way they did Julius Randle, he's got a shot to make the All-Star team. I think that's less likely, most improved. I say that because he went to 16 points per game last season. I think he jumps up to 21, maybe 22. He could end up being a leading scorer for us. It's very possible. Yeah,
that wouldn't shock me. Would that be like a bad thing maybe? Like if I were a Knicks fan personally, I kind of would want RJ to be like that. What I would hope for RJ's development is that he
was almost our leading scorer last season by like half a point. Randall surpassed him at 0.5 points. So they were both around 20 a game. I think RJ goes to 21. Him and Brunson it's going to be like him and Randall last year. They'll be neck and neck. I think it's going to be very competitive with the leading scorer between those two.
That's fun though. I mean, what's Brunson, 25, 26? He's still young.
Yeah.
I could definitely see him winning most improved, but I don't know. They usually give it to the younger guys.
And, if he makes a 6 to 7 point jump in scoring, I don't see how he can be ignored for at least a candidate in that regard.
Yeah, and we as Mavs fans, we were talking about, oh my God, could Brunson maybe make an All-Star game sometime? Like when he was having his climb up, his rise up this year, and whenever we were all under the assumption he was going to sign with the Mavs, it wasn't really a thing until it was a thing that Brunson was going to leave, Because I remember in May or June, I was like, Brunson's going to sign day one of free agency with the Mavs. I was literally under that assumption, even after his dad got hired by Thibodeau. All of that stuff did nothing for me until it got very real very quickly, I guess. But we were all thinking, could Brunson make the All-Star game? In the West, the guards are just too stacked.
Yeah.
In the East, though, it's not an impossibility.
Agreed.
Especially in New York, right? Especially if they're good, and Brunson's a big piece for that. Yeah, he'll get a chance.
Yeah, especially the way the narrative is going too. We had that good season in 20 to 21, and last year we were very underwhelming, disappointing across the board in every capacity, from front office down to our 12th man. But if we come back from that and Brunson's addition brings us back into the playoffs, or at least if we're on that route toward the All-Star game, I think he will be in the conversation to get voted in, or chosen by the coaches.
Do you wish the Knicks pulled the trigger on the Donovan Mitchell trade?
No, not as the trade proposals were currently constructed. It was in too much. And it was the first time I really doubted Leon Rose as a decision maker. I think the trades he's done so far have been very subdued, very smart, savvy. It's like trade 1 pick for 3, trade a second and Dennis Smith Jr. for Derrick Rose. They've been very understated. The packages off the bat was like absurd. It was Obi, Mitch, RJ, 2 unprotecteds, I think 2 swaps. To me, that's Donovan Mitchell is not worth that package. I think what Utah gave him was a little bit of an oversell. Personally, I think Mitchell's in that same category as a Devin Booker and Brandon Ingram. I think he's right there. He's not someone that you sell the whole farm for. So I'm happy that we stuck to our guns and we kept our young squad. I really think this team's got a lot of potential, and that's one of the reasons I think he left Dallas and came to us, because there's some better assets here to grow than there are in Dallas if you want to open that can of worms.
No, I mean, you're right. I mean, Dallas's asset is Luka Doncic, and that's pretty much, he's going to, like, how far you go will depend on how far Luka Doncic carries you. I think the Mavs are, I think people are sleeping on the Mavericks a little bit, and I do think the Brunson loss hurts. I don't think it's the end of the world for them. Losing him for nothing absolutely sucks. That really can't happen. But they're still a good team. They're a well-constructed team. But yeah, it's still, there's no real young assets. I mean, Brunson was considered our other young asset, and it's not like he's this super young, oh my God, he's going to be here for the next 15 years type of asset. So I do kind of agree in that regard.
He was the only player on a team that I saw in the playoffs last year that had a ceiling.
Yeah.
Yeah, Josh Green can go from 4 points a game to 6 points a game, but I'm talking about realistically someone who can go up into a different echelon of how they're viewed around the league outside of the Homer fans. I think Brunson was the only one who had a ceiling, and the argument I have the most with Mav fans is the viability of Nico Harrison as a general manager. I think he's a great backroom guy. He has a respect of veterans who have been in the league for over 2 decades, watching all the smoke and seeing different veterans shout him out during his time with Nike. But as a lead decision maker, making move, is he even that with Cuban on board? I think he's really punted on Luka's seasons going into his matched contract and hasn't really given him a reason yet to believe the Mavs can or will be a contender because of their lack of draft capital, which we own. One turned the Grimes, and we'll see what this one turns into. And also just the KP trade was a total whiff on both ends. I'm not a huge fan of Spencer Dinwiddie, and I think a lot of teams in the NBA and other players haven't been a huge fan of him. He has found a home here in Dallas, but what we're seeing at 16, 17 points a game, to me, that's a ceiling for him.
Yeah, no, I do kind of agree. I think most Mavs fans, though, would say Nico's been pretty good so far. It's been 2 off seasons now. Losing Brunson, I can't blame that on him. That was definitely Donnie Nelson. Donnie Nelson won us a championship, so we have some respect for him in that regard. But the last decade's been a joke. The way that Brunson rookie contract was structured was horrible. He should never have hit unrestricted free agency this quickly. And I can't put that on Nico Harrison. It was an impossible. I remember having this argument with Mavs fans at the deadline, where it's this impossible decision where, okay, if Brunson is maybe leaving, do you trade him and get minimal returns, but you have to get something in return, and then you're basically punting the season. You don't go to the Western Conference Finals if you trade Brunson at the deadline. And obviously now in hindsight, it's well, would you have rather gotten I don't know, a late first from a contender or something? And I honestly think no. I would take the Western Conference Finals experience over that 1,000%.
I agree with that. I do think that there's some blame to be put on Nico because he had 2 opportunities to sign him to that extension after he was already the general manager of a team.
Okay. Let me fight back on this point.
Sure.
Last offseason, hindsight, of course, is 2020. Obviously, if they signed him to that extension last offseason, was it 455, 4 years, $55 million? Obviously, yes, that would have been a bargain. But Brunson was coming off of an abysmally bad series against the Clippers. So bad that if he was just good, the Mavs probably win that series. The on-off numbers with Luka and Brunson were insane in that series. Luka had a positive on-off when he was on the court against the Clippers, and it tanked horribly bad the moment he left the floor. So if Brunson was decent, they probably win that series. So I think most Mavs fans are okay, let's wait and see. And I just don't buy that Brunson was willing to take that extension in January. I just don't believe it.
I don't think that no matter how he played that Clipper series outside KP at that point in time, he was the only guy who you could consider a guaranteed part of the future that wasn't a role player on the Dorian Finney-Smith level, but a guy who had some semblance of being able to reach star capacity in 2 or 3 years, which he's done at this point since he's joined the New York Knicks. I don't see any reason why you don't offer him that deal at that time, which even before the cap rise, a year from now, was a very good value contract Nico should have done everything he could in both those opportunities to wrap that up and make him feel wanted to be a part of the future of the team. And he failed in that. I don't disagree with you, but Donnie Nelson was a horrible GM.
Yeah.
I don't think the Nico has been that much better since he got on board. Love the Christian Wood trade. Gave up peanuts for him. You got a really great value. I wrote about that for Deadspin after it happened. That was a fleece of a trade. The Reggie Bullitt pickup, solid role player. He was with us for 2 years. I know Reggie Bullitt very well. Great 3-and-D. Not necessarily playing better with the Mavs than he was with the Knicks. So I don't really see that piece yet that equals the loss of Brunson that then makes up for it with this really great maneuvering that Nico's done as a GM.
I think I'll go back to the second KP trade. The original KP trade, right? I can't be mad at the trade. Like, I saw the vision. I saw what they were thinking. Luka rookie year, they immediately were like, okay, this kid's too good. Like, we're not going to be in a tank. We're not going to be in a long rebuild. He'll drag us to at least, close to a 500 record, and our picks will be terrible. So let's go out and let's get this 7-2 unicorn player who's still young, and we can build around him forever. The contract was bad. Maxing him immediately off of an ACL without seeing anything, with no injury protections or anything, was bad. And then the second KP trade, I honestly don't. Dinwiddie was huge for the Mavs. Dinwiddie was huge, and I saw the vision where it's like, let's split this untradeable KP contract into 2 semi-movable contracts, especially now that Dinwiddie has, I think, 2 years left, and then Bertans has 2 guaranteed years left. So those are both trades contracts that you could easily move off of. I'm a big defender of Nico Harrison. I'll defend him.
Davis Bertans is not an easy contract to move off of. His 16 to 18 million, I can't remember exactly what number it is. It's between 16 and 18 million per year. It's not easy for a guy who can only shoot threes and is a complete turnstile on defense. Can't do anything off the dribble. Can't do anything in terms of rebounding. He's a total bum in every capacity, but drilling down a three, which he's been up and down throughout his career. Spencer Dinwiddie, injury prone, scored over 18 points per game once.
Wait, what's with the Dinwiddie stuff?
I call him Spencer Dinwiddie because he's mostly a dud for his career. I think he's an above average point guard. Was a good addition. I feel like if Nico would have sold sooner, they could have got a better package for Kristaps Porzingis. But I think they waited to, not only did his health drop down his value, but his attitude began to drop down the value. You started hearing the murmurs about the locker room stuff, the bad chemistry stuff with Luka, and I think that really hurt his value, where he ends up going to purgatory, which is how we know the Washington Wizards to be.
Yeah, they're definitely in purgatory. I have no idea what the hell they're doing, honestly.
It's a mess of a franchise.
Yeah, I don't even see the vision. I would like to, but I really don't. I guess the vision is, okay, we'll give Beal his contract and then trade him at some point. But
yeah, they have like a lot of young guys with really high floors, but not much of a ceiling in Rui Hachimura and Denny Avdija. There's not really I don't see anyone growing alongside Beal there. Which is why I always say Washington's a place for players to go and die. And Spencer was sent there at one point in time, and even that locker room didn't like him. He seems to have found a real home in Dallas, where he's a good dude. I mean, I think Dorian Finney-Smith, the podcast, was boosting him up. Jason Kidd utilized him really well, but I think Luka is a big reason why he looked so good. Is a lot of guys look unbelievable playing next to a generational talent like Luka Doncic.
Yeah, and I'll say this about Dinwiddie. I feel the same way about Christian Wood, although I'm a little bit more pessimistic, I guess, about Christian Wood, just because this is a reputation that's followed him for a very long time. But in terms of like the locker room, like locker rooms don't like him. If it's a losing situation, I almost throw it out the window entirely. Like there's just some guys who are they want to win, and if you're on a losing team, that kind of can rub people the wrong way sometimes. Like I don't really, the Dinwiddie stuff I never bought into. That Washington locker room seemed like a joke from the beginning, and some of the stuff I saw was like, he wanted to be a leader, and then everybody else on the team was like, no, we don't want that shit. We just want to come here and put up our shots, and we're going to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I think his personality can probably rail on you, especially when the L's are racking up. The Wizards weren't doing a whole lot of winning during that time, too. So the voices are the loudest or tend to be the ones that people view as the most incorrect. But I do think that he's found a really good place here. And so long as he's playing it's a healthy Luka Doncic, I think he'll be the 15, 16 point per game guy that he is. But after losing Brunson, now you're in this conundrum where who's that third ball handler, and you're choosing between one bum and Josh Green, another bum and Frank Ntilikina, who I know also very well. There's a large Frank Hive contingency with New York Knicks fans that just never panned out. But I think it adds a lot of pressure on Spencer. I think you'll see that the splits drop this year in efficiency with Spencer.
I don't like the bum word, man. Josh Green is not a bum.
It's my favorite word, and I tend to use it with Mad players more than any because I'm living here in Dallas and I see him play all the time. I watch almost every game.
Frank Ntilikina is the preseason stuff for the third ball handlers not looked good, and I don't think they're even going that route. Like the preseason game last night, he was on the floor with McKinley Wright, and McKinley Wright, who's this 5'11", I honestly don't even know where he came from, but he was handling the ball. Like the Frank Ntilikina third ball handler dream, I don't even think it's real. I think that was just coach speak, personally. But Josh Green, there might be something there. I'm telling you, like it's just you watch. What's the difference between like Knicks fans relentlessly hyping up fucking Deuce McBride or Quentin Grimes, and then you have like Josh Green, who's also shown interesting flashes, but it's like Josh Green's a bum?
I think the reason is because Knicks fans understand that Deuce McBride is going to be an awesome 11th man. I think that the expectations in Dallas, because you look around that roster and there's really no one that has star power outside of Luka, expectation is, hey, Josh Green could be our third, fourth, fifth option on the pecking order, or he could be our sixth man. I don't think his talent level would get him to that spot. I think he could be a really solid ninth, 10th man in the rotation if he hits the ceiling. To me, that's different. No one thinks Deuce McBride's a starting guard in New York.
I think the expectations are like seventh or eighth guy though for the Mavs. Realistically, if that's what that's
what I'm
fine.
seeing on Twitter. I keep hearing huge jump, big leap. This is Josh Green's year. It's like, what are those expectations? The guys are on average 14, 15 points a game. Not happening.
If Josh Green became a good seventh man, that's a big leap for him because it was like unplayable moments at times last year.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that resentment that they have toward any criticism of Josh Green just comes down to Donnie Nelson leaving the draft room and leaving that pickup to Gambler Bob, who skipped over Desmond Bain and took Josh Green. So it's a lot of like, oh, Josh Green, like a lot of hope and dreams in him that pick wasn't completely botched.
Oh, that one does hurt. I'll give the Desmond Bain one a little bit of a pass because he went 30th, so it wasn't like he went the pick after. But Sadiq Bey went, I think, like 2 picks after, 1 pick after, maybe.
Another very solid player in Detroit.
Yeah, that would have been another one. But Josh, I see like Josh Green's thing has always been instinctually, it's there. He's a good defender. He's a smart offensive player, but it's just a confidence thing. The shooting's not even terrible. Like his shooting numbers have been decent. He just doesn't shoot. And if you could just get the confidence boost where he's like, okay, I can shoot 3 threes a game, right? I could shoot 4 threes a game. I could make this pass if I turn it over. Oh well, that's where we need to get at with him. Personally.
Yeah. I think he seems to have a good attitude. He's taken a lot of the criticism and the DNPs and the limited minutes in stride. It hasn't affected how hard he works in the offseason, hasn't affected his chemistry in the locker room. Like I think he understands the amount of work that needs to be put in for him to really be a part of the rotation. But he is probably the most athletic perimeter player on the team. If just off the top of my head.
No, he definitely
has more hops. But I think on the perimeter, he should be a lot better than what he's been so far in a 3-and-D role. I've always imagined him as a more athletic Greg Butner or Adrian Griffin, old school Mavs, who are on the peripherals of the starting lineup as 6 and 7 guys. I always thought coming to the NBA, he would be that. I felt the same way about Kevin Knotts. They had the build, they had the athletic ability, they had the shot profile, and it hasn't really came down to that. I think a lot of it's mental with Josh Green than it is physical.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's why I'm like, give him some room to, shoot 0 of 5 from 3 one game and then be able to play the next game too. That's kind of the thing where it's like, all right, Josh Green goes out there. This is what you saw in the playoffs. He had some big moments in that Jazz series, but then he had like one bad game and it was over for him. Like it was just, was like, all right, it's over. Like your playoffs are done. So I'm hoping.
And the mental component, same thing that brought down Dennis Smith Jr., Kevin Knotts, and Frank Ntilikina. It's that mental game of being able to understand where your opportunities are and take full advantage of them is the reason why Davis Bertans is eating up Josh Green's minutes, split between a 3 and a small ball 4. Any minutes Davis Bertans gets should be given to Josh Green, in my opinion.
Well, Bertans comes out there, he's shooting the ball. Like that's what I do love about Bertans. Like he'll come out there and he touches the ball, it's going up. Josh needs to get to that point. Sometimes it goes in. Like he shot better with the Mavs. If Bertans can shoot close to 40% again, he'll be like a legitimate weapon. Obviously, for his contract, he'll be overpaid, yes, but he'll have like a role to play. And will it be worth it money wise? No, it won't. But the Mavs didn't give him that contract, whatever. And his so going into next offseason, Dinwiddie will be expiring, and Bertans will essentially be expiring because he'll have another year, but it's like only a $2 million guarantee. that's kind of what I'm looking at, where it's like those are two very movable contracts now. The Mavs have a bunch of movable contracts, and then assuming they don't have a top 10 pick, which would be an absolute disaster. I don't even see, knock on glass, like a Luka injury would be the only way they get that, obviously. But the Knicks will take the Mavs pick next year, and then they'll be reloaded.
True. I think that's what you have looking forward to, which is why I feel like if Josh Green was going to be what he wants to be, it would have happened by now. Because if you look at the Mavs roster, the only guys that are really growing along with Luka, where you're like, all right, if Luka, plays out this contract, doesn't pull a superstar, like almost every superstar has done in the last 5 or 6 years, and demand a trade, whoever guys are going to be the reasons that he stays and are growing along with him. That's your Dodos, that's your Spencer Dinwiddles, hopefully your Christian Woods, your Reggie Bullets. Josh Green is really the only guy under the age of 25 that I think should have a ceiling, but doesn't. So I think the onus is really more on any other player. It's on him to really become a player that can grow alongside Luka, as Brunson was, and actually hit that potential that he has based, like I said, on his athleticism and his skill set. He should be a lot better than he is, but will the mental game ever get him over that hump? I don't have faith in it.
It's year 3 for him right now. So it's like he's still young. And he was in that weird COVID rookie draft, and there's been a lot of accounts where that was just a very weird draft for some like Desmond Bane, Sadiq Bey. These guys coming in immediately are good, but for some guys it's going to be a weird thing, weird transition. And I think third year, I just don't think you can give up on him yet, right? Let's just see how third year is always usually the most important year in a player's career. Like at that point, it's either okay, this guy's going to be a good player, or he's not. So I think. I believe in Josh Green. I mean, Bertans is Bertans, whatever. Like some of these other role players, they're just whatever to me. Josh Green is the one where it's like, yeah, if he develops, yeah, the ceiling of the Mavs increases dramatically. But if he doesn't develop, yeah, it's a little bit spooky. And then I'm a believer in Jaden Hardy. I actually am. I love that Nico Harrison move. I just don't disagree with any Nico Harrison move so far, besides, I guess, retroactively giving Brunson an extension last offseason. Bullock.
I think Jaden Hardy's a player. I only watched one preseason. I saw the Mavs hype on Twitter blow up after an exhibition fan jam. blue against white, which I thought was one of the more goofier knee-jerk reactions I saw that day. But Hardy's got game. When they didn't have a pick because they owed to the Mavs, it was a shot in the dark for Nico to do that. That's the type of home run swing at that level that you need to make deep into the draft. And I think Hardy was worth that. Hardy's ceiling, maybe a 7-8 point per game rotation player. He was cooking guys that aren't going to be in NBA next year. I mean,
I don't think that's his ceiling. That's too low.
Non-NBA talent last night. You can't really judge his 21 points against guys that literally would not get NBA contracts this coming season.
You could look. I mean, he's got too deep of a bag to say his ceiling is 8 points a game. That's too low of a ceiling.
I think on this team, the way that this team plays, with ball movement, spraying the floor, depending on shooting, I think that's what he's going to reach on this Mavs roster.
I mean, are you saying like career-wise or this year?
But I'm talking about right now with the Mavs. Not if he goes to developing Utah Jazz and has carte blanche to do whatever he wants. On this team, in this rotation with this schematics, I think if he can average 7 or 8, same with Josh Green. Josh Green can average 8 or 9. That's a huge plus. That's a win.
Yeah, but there's a difference between like 9 from Josh Green and 9 from Hardy. Like 9 for Josh Green is additionally with his defense and his playmaking chops. Hardy, okay, so let's say a scenario. Hardy gets limited minutes this year. He's going to. I've been telling all the people in my chat, Hardy's not going to play. Like I'm a big believer in him, but he's just not going to play that much this season. Hopefully, if he does, it's either he's way better than we thought, like it's a Bones Highland situation, or there's been bad injuries. But he's not going to play that much this season. What if he shines in the moments he does play? Goes off in Summer League next year, has a great training camp. Dinwiddie's an expiring. Boom. We trade him, right? Jaden Hardy, you are now the second point guard. You are now the secondary ball handler. His ceiling's still 8 points?
Oh, it goes up. With an increased role, I think increased production goes hand in hand. And I want to see that. Hardy is one of the few Mavs I really like his game and doesn't fit the prototypical Mav that we've had in the past. As soon as a guy has a deep bag of traits like OJ Mayo, Monta Ellis, they shut him out of town because it doesn't jive with what they're trying to do around the European superstar. Hardy's different. Hardy, I like the fact that they got a guy who is a little bit different than what the prototypical Mavericks perimeter player has been. And I think seems to be a great personality as well. He's embracing Dallas.
Yeah, I think I don't think you should look too much into like the Mavs fans freaking out. It's just I think a lot of it is memes personally. But it's also, I mean, we don't usually have rookies to be excited about. Like, it was Josh Green was the last one, and he wasn't like an exciting rookie. Josh Green was always like, okay, this guy's going to be like a Project 3-and-D wing, which isn't like the most exciting player in the world. Like, let's just be honest. Nobody's really like getting hype about Reggie Bullocks, but you just recognize that's just the game is the game. You need those guys. But when Hardy's shooting like, step back, baseline, fadeaway jumpers, woo!
Yeah, I think if Rick Carlisle was still the coach of the Mavs, they
he
probably
would
wouldn't have picked him up. He'd definitely be glued to the end of the bench. But I like that Jason Kidd has at least seemed to be more experimental than Carlisle ever was. And I think that's going to bode well, not just for Hardy, but for Green too.
I will still always be a Rick Carlisle defender, but just because he was always a great, like, what he got offensively out of some of our teams is unbelievable. Like, you just look at some of the rotations. I mean, Luka's, I think it was his second year. The Mavs had, at the time, the most efficient offense in the history of basketball.
Unbelievable.
And that got broken by like 8 teams the next season because that's just how the game is now. But, I mean, even when it was like JJ and Monte and like Chandler Parsons, our offense was still just insane. I'm happy you said Monte because that's one of the only times Donnie Nelson had any foresight. Like, Monte was just, he saw, I guess, I'm giving them too much credit because this is not what went down. But in my mind, they saw, all right, the NBA is changing. These, like, smaller guards who are, like, isolation, mid-range scorers, they're on their way out of the league, so we can't bring back Monte. But we loved Monte when he was here.
I'm sure he had a good heads up from his dad who coached him in Golden State during the We Believe series, who had a pretty good idea of what he was capable of, both on and off the court. I think there's a lot of similarities between Carlisle, pros and cons, and Thibs, who is not necessarily beloved in Dallas, but both squeeze every win out of the mediocre rosters that they have, but also have like major deficiencies. For Carlisle, it's defense. Offense is his calling card. With Tibbs, it's defense is his calling card. He struggles on offense. But I think there's a lot of similarities there, and the league has, to some extent, passed those kind of coaches by, those Stan Van Gundy's.
Yeah, I think they're both similar, too, where it's like the fan base, there's these young players, the fan base desperately wants them to play, and then Rick Carlisle's the same way, where I'm going with my vet. I'm going with Trey Burke over, whatever young guard you guys want to see. And it can be infuriating, but...
We both had a bum named Burke, or Burks last year. It just caused both.
I like Alec Burks. I've always said I wanted the Mavs to get him at one point because I remember I was like, he should not be a fucking point guard. Like, the Knicks are just, what they're doing to him is abuse.
Was, especially when you have like a scrub like Deuce McBride, like let that kid or IQ take the range and just like see what you got, Like, just rack the losses up and get some experience on the board. Why the hell are we trying to squeeze out wins to not even either make the lottery or the play-in? You're in pure purgatory. It was a ridiculous move.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, let's talk about the Knicks. Do you like Cam Reddish?
I like him in theory a lot. Yeah.
God, he is probably, if I had to make a list of, it's not his fault, like nothing against Cam Reddish personally, but if I had to make a list of some of the players that annoy me the most, right? Just by the way, some sects of Twitter talk about them. In reality, Cam Reddish is towards the top of the list. I have just, outside of like a couple of moments with the Hawks in the playoffs where he shot like a step back three or something, and then immediately there's people on Twitter like, oh my God, that looked exactly like Paul George. And I was like, Paul George, it might be Paul George. I watch him play out, and I just do not see it. I would hate having Cam Reddish on my team. I would.
Yeah, I think having RJ as a tethering to their Duke days has kept him from being an issue in the locker room, like demanding more minutes or wanting the ball more. He's been a pretty solid voice in terms of like chemistry, but the dude either can't stay healthy or just can't get his game together on a consistent rate to earn minutes. And if you're playing for Tom Thibodeau, you have to earn your minutes. And that's a huge frustration point for a lot of the fan base, is they want guys like Obi after he misses 3 or 4 blown defensive assignments to stay on the court. But they're just going to pull him. It's just how it is. And Cam Reddish has been atrocious on defense since he joined the Knicks. And do I think he was worth that super heavily protected first-round pick from Charlotte, which was like top 19 protected? Yeah, he was worth a flyer on that. Has it panned out? No. Would I care if they re-signed him this summer? Not especially. I think that position's more sewn up to be Grimes moving forward than it is his.
I do like Grimes. Like that's one of the players where the Knicks fan base obviously has a reputation for hyping young players. Grimes is one. I mean, maybe the hype's a little out of control, but I do think he's going to be a good player. Like, you just kind of see it.
That was the Mavs pick. That the Quentin Grimes one was the one that we got over from a KP one, the unprotected first. So yeah, that was a pretty solid draft. We got Jericho Sims at the way back into the second round, who seems to be a very decent third string center. A decent Bride plays in garbage time and gives you a lot of steals, but Quentin Grimes he's a flamethrower at the 3-point line, and he's a great defender. Came from Kelvin Sampson's program in Houston, which I watch a lot of on college ball. He's got a high ceiling. I think he has a little bit more up his sleeve as a shot creator off a dribble.
No, he's like a modern NBA player. Like, he'll have a role as his floor. Like, there will be a role for him on some teams. So I like him. Cam Reddish is just, the defense is the weird part, because that's what should be there. You look at like the athleticism, like all of the length, the height, the defense should be there, and then everything else should translate. But it's just not. I really do think it's a mental thing. I don't know personally.
Yeah, he doesn't really play give and go basketball too. I think like Tibbs really likes the guys that are willing to go in there and pass up shots. If you're open, take it. But if you're not, let's get the ball moving and try to find the best possible shot here in the offensive scheme. And Grimes does that. Fournier does that. When I watch Cam Reddish, he's in there looking to ISO. And a lot of times he has the matchup. He'll have length, wingspan, height over a guy, and he'll post up or he'll face up and do a pull-up shot, but he usually clinks off the iron and ends up being a long rebound to into a transition shot for the other team. So he doesn't play the type of basketball that Tibbs is willing to have leniency with, and that's why I think he's on the outside looking at the rotation.
So you think the Knicks will be a play-in team? That's what most everybody agrees with. What would have to be the nightmare scenario where come January or February, you're kind of thinking, do we get into this tank race? Like, do we get involved?
Julius Randle has a complete mental meltdown, which I wouldn't put it past him. What I saw last year, it's been the wildest 3 years of a player since I've been watching basketball for almost 3 decades. I can't remember a time where someone was like mediocre, like the way he was perceived, mediocre, and then really, really overhyped, and then just like not even crashed and burned, but crashed and burned because of himself.
Yeah.
And the way that he interacted with his teammates, not helping up guys off the floor, being the last one back on defense, flipping off the fans, telling them F you. Like, it was a strange 3-year period. If he gets back into that headspace where he's hurting not only the team's record, but their chemistry, that's nightmare scenario. And I think that would set off a lot of division within the locker room and would put Tibbs on a hot seat, because talk about a leash, man. He has no leash with Randle. No matter how bad that guy's playing, he gets him out there on the floor.
No, I remember there was times last year with the Knicks where they would pull the starters, then the bench would make a miraculous comeback, and it would be like a 5-point game, and they would keep the bench out there. I love that. I like when a coach does that. And do you think that they were shopping Julius Randle at any point? I don't know how you come back from last year. Like, some of the shit that happened last year where he's like just not trying, like he's not part of the team. That just seems like he has to be gone. There's just no coming back.
I think that there was some chatter before the trade deadline last season when it was in the thick of it. This summer, there seemed to be a point where there was a recommitment between Leon Rhodes and him, and he kind of hinted at that at some of the conversations on MSG Network, talking to Alan Hahn. But I don't know. I know he wasn't involved in any trade package for Donovan Mitchell. Like, every single package I saw, he was never a centerpiece. The salary was always a Fournier-Rose combination to match Donovan's contract. So Randle was never an option being shipped to Utah, probably because Utah had no interest in his
that's the same.
Why
would Utah want him?
Yeah, I mean, they're in rebuild mode. You want a malcontent guy who wants to chuck up every shot at every chance he gets.
Yeah.
In isolation plays, that's not the type of guy you want in their situation, taking for Victor. I do think this season is going to be the make or break, not just for his tenure with the Knicks, but probably how he's perceived around the NBA as an asset. If he comes in and repeats any of those shenanigans from last year, I mean, the Knicks fan base will turn on him on a dime. There is a decent contingency right now of us who are giving him grace, saying clean slate. Let's see, you don't have to score 30. Just be the first man back on defense.
Yeah.
And if he keeps that up, which he did in game 1 in the preseason, if he keeps it up, New York will forgive him.
Yeah. But I mean, if January comes along and there's like a 3-game losing streak, is he going to keep it up? That's the thing. That's the question. We did an expansion draft.
No one's on try.
Huh?
No one will cry if Julius Randle's traded.
Yeah, no. Well, we did an expansion draft on here a week ago, and we were protecting. I think we protected 8 players on each team. And the big one with the Knicks was, would they protect Julius Randle or would they expose him because of the contract? That's what I thought too. And a lot of my chat disagreed with me, but I just thought that, I kept Cam Reddish because people were saying to expose Cam Reddish instead of Julius Randle. I thought, well, you could maybe trade Cam Reddish.
I would expose them both. Neither of them would be in my top 8 protected.
I don't remember who was exposed, but I mean, when you look at it, like we exposed Fournier, obviously.
Yeah.
I think we ended up keeping Derrick Rose. I don't remember what we did with Derrick Rose. He might have been exposed. It was just an age thing.
Keep Brunson, RJ, Grimes, Obi, Mitch, IQ, Fournier. I mean, not Fournier.
Kept Hartenstein,
and Derrick Rose. I think that's the 8 guys that I would keep.
I think that was very close to what we had too. No, we exposed Sims. I don't remember who else we exposed, but
Sims is a deep rotation.
Well, the rules was too, like the teams can only lose one player. So it wasn't like the Knicks were going to lose every single player they exposed. So it was like if an expansion team was like, okay, Julius Randle, like that's a name people recognize. Like we could start a franchise. He was an All-NBA player 2 years ago. So, maybe there's something. But then you get off that contract for nothing if you're the Knicks. I think I thought, a lot of my chat disagreed with me, but I thought that was
I would too. And it's even on a bad year, Knicks fans that have repeated this. On a bad year, he's 20, 10, and 5, but the shooting splits were like god awful. Yeah. And even worse than that was the attitude. Like you didn't look at any other player around the league that had his stature and his production that was acting the way he did, which we talked about weak mentally as I did with Josh Green. This guy is 10 times worse. And so much so that even when things are going decent or going well, he still has that me first attitude. And when the playoffs came around in Atlanta, he got destroyed, locked down.
It was ugly.
By John Collins, who was not known to be a defender in any shape of the word. And he got shut down. And that was the first glimpse of his weak mentality. Because what happened? The fans came back to MSG, and he had to actually play in front of an audience.
Yeah, that's very true, too. Like, he was one of the guys he might go down as like the poster boy for the empty gym season. He really might. Because the shooting splits didn't make any, like, maybe there's a way he returns to it, but career-wise, his shooting splits a couple years ago just do not make sense. With like the shots, his shot diet is so bad too. It's so bad, and when he makes it, it's impressive.
But I don't think he'll ever go back to that. That year 20 to 21 is an anomaly. He'll never match that in field goal percentage or 3-point percentage. Maybe on free throws, but I think that the reality is probably somewhere between a 36 to 37% 3-point shooter and 45 to 44% field goal shooter. I think he just takes too many bad shots, too many shots in isolation, too many shots double teamed instead of passing out and finding the open man for him to ever reach those metrics again.
Yeah, and I guess the hope would be, well, now you have Brunson to run your point, so your shot diet should be much improved. So hopefully your shooting splits are higher. Maybe your points per game go down, but your efficiency goes up. That's always what you want, realistically, because you want enough guys around where efficiency rises, maybe point totals go down, but we're cruising.
The way that Randle completely ruins a possession isn't just on that, that spin move into oblivion where the ball goes into the stands.
Dubious
it's just
handles.
He beats the ball out.
Yeah.
He brings the ball up all the way down the court. He sets up the offense as a point forward on a perimeter and then gives off a bad dribble handoff, comes back to the post, catches it, and then ruins an isolation play. It's like a full 20-second capacity of bad basketball, and that's one of the reasons why Knicks fans are so disgusted with him.
It's funny because, I'm just saying it's funny because Brunson's on the Knicks now, but when people always, shit on Luka for these really bad heliocentric possessions, and people are always making fun of it, and that's why Brunson left, I'm like, dude, have you guys watched Julius Randle play basketball? Like, he has some possessions. Obviously, the ball's in his hands a little bit less than it's in Luka's hands. But some of his possessions are just the worst you'll ever see. And Luka just naturally, by having the ball in his hands every possession, he'll have a few possessions where it's just like, all right, that was just a little too much. But it's Luka.
I fully admit I'm harsh on Nico, harsh on Josh Green, harsh on the Mavs, been harsh on Cuban. No problem. I would take that stance down that hill. Luka Doncic is my favorite non-Knick player in the NBA. He's the best player in the NBA. I think he'll win MVP this year. He's an absolute god on the court. I got nothing bad to say about him. I love his attitude. Love the dog mentality. I got zero hate at all for Luka. I just wish the Mavs would put a better supporting cast around him. That's it.
Yeah, I think I agree. I've been saying this for the longest time, and obviously it's coming from a Mavs fan, so nobody takes it seriously. I really do think it's hard to say he's underrated, but I don't think, because if you were to say, I think Lucas is, personally, I have Giannis ahead of him just because Giannis is insane, but I think he's the second best player, and people will usually shit on that take. Like they'll say, well, what about Steph? What about Kevin Durant? What about Embiid? What about all these other guys? And it's just like, dude, Luka's right in that conversation. Even if you think some of those guys are better, Luka's at least in the exact same tier as them. Like what he does as an offensive engine, I don't think you get anywhere else in basketball. His ability to score 35 to 40 points on any given night if he wants to, 10 assists, his playmaking, he does whatever he wants. Like I've never seen a player like this on my favorite team, where it's just whatever he wants, he gets.
Luka is definitely the best offensive player in the NBA. I would put Giannis above him all around because of his defensive abilities, and he dragged the team to the championship as well. Probably the best run I've seen since Dirk in 2011.
That was an insane run.
As like a one superstar player team. Luka to me is better than Embiid, better than Curry, better than Joker, because of the way that he dominates the pace of a game.
Yeah,
is unguardable. There's no defensive steam. I mean, some of the best coaches in NBA history have played against him in the playoffs, and you can't steam for him. Not Steve Kerr, not Monty Williams, not Ty Lue, not Doc Rivers. No one can steam against Luka Doncic because whatever you throw at him, he's going to find a way to counterbalance that, counteract that, and get a damn shot off or get a shot off for his teammate. He's so damn clutch at such a young age, and I think we're just scratching the surface of how dominant he can be. And the reason, because his talent is as equal as his mental game. His mental game is not talked about enough. How clutch he is, how ballsy he is, and how much he seats out the best defender on the other team. Just completely embarrass him on offense.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like I've said this before. I don't think there's anybody in the league who has more fuck you in their game than Luka. He like wants to embarrass you. Like he really does. Yes. It's like something like Dirk had it, but it wasn't as out there. But Dirk did have it. But it wasn't like I'm literally laughing at you as I'm running up the court. Like the Game 7 thing against the Suns, I don't know if you get that from another player in the NBA. I just really don't. Like not only am I going to win by 40 points on the road in a Game 7, I'm going to score as many points as your entire team at halftime. I'm going to laugh at you the entire time. I'm going to, your best defenders you're throwing at me, I'm literally going to throw them on the floor every possession. Like it was some of the most insane shit I've ever seen.
Yeah, he has a really uncanny ability to make his teammates better too. I mean, there's a lot of guys in this roster that I think would struggle to make other contending rosters. Matthew Kleber has had his shooting struggles the last season and a half, but the way that Luka encourages him, puts him in great positions, finds him open, knows his tendencies, reads his tendencies, and then plays a game to lift those up. I don't know of any player in the NBA that makes their guys better than Luka Doncic. I mean, he's a maestro at raising guys' floor and helping them hit their ceilings in the most pivotal moments possible in the playoffs.
Man, it sounds like you're talking yourself into the Mavs, not me.
I fucking love Luka Doncic. There really is nothing to hate about it. But a lot of my frustrations and anger come at the ineptitude of the front office, and really it all boils down to Cuban. I'm not a fan of Cuban as an owner. He's not as bad as James Dolan, but I think he's been underrated in terms of some of the toxicity he's had in the front office.
No,
I just wish he built a better team around him.
Yeah, no, definitely. You're not going to find any Mavs fans who disagree with you, unless like the ones you find like the American Airlines Center who like don't really participate, who just go to the games. Like they'll be like, "Oh no, Cuban rocks! Like he wears fucking jeans." Like, but it's like you yeah, most Mavs fans will agree. But I'm happy you said that about Dolan, because it's like Cuban selling the team would be cool, but it can always get worse with an owner.
Sure. You could be James Dolan.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Like it can get worse. I want Mavs fans to understand that. Like Cuban, as an owner, he's really not bad. It's the super involved in the basketball side of things. I just hate that. You're not a basketball guy. I know you've been around for 25 years or whatever, but you don't have like the basketball decision makers, the top end ones. They played forever, or there's just something that they have that Cuban just doesn't. Like owners should not be involved in decision making ever. And I get it from both sides because I'm a Cowboys fan too. It's like, I just want an owner who's like, here's money, guys, like Lakeup. But I think Lakeup's pretty involved in the Warriors' decision makings, or at least I don't know how that works.
Steve Ballmer. Yeah, I think that Cuban's done a pretty good job hiring coaches. I have a deep affinity for every coach he's hired since he's been owner. I grew up on Don Nelson, amazing coach, amazing dude. I'm probably a bigger proponent of Avery Johnson than most Mav
I
fans.
love Avery Johnson just because that was like when I grew up a Mavs fan.
Yeah, Rick Carlisle, one of the greatest coaches of all time, finally won a chip with a very, um, I, I wouldn't say talentless, but a team that probably shouldn't have won against the big three in Miami. And Dirk just went on like ass beating mode and just went through every round he possibly could, put on an unbelievable performance and one of the greatest performances in playoff history. And I really like Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd was a great choice, I think, and a great diversion away from some of the more stoic, fundamental ideology of Carlisle on offense, and really allowed more flexibility and experimentation, as I referenced before, with this roster. I think Kidd is doing a really good job, and is the right guy to be a mentor for Luka, because he's really pushing and challenging Luka instead of arguing with Luka and being kind of a anti-voice of reason off the court, because we heard about that tension between Carlisle and Doncic. I love the hire. It's a front office allowing Donnie Nelson to be the GM for that long.
Yeah.
Based on the relationship with his father, I think it was a huge mistake, and allowed him to be really a puppet for Cuban, really pulling the strings behind the scenes. And I kind of see Nico in the same way. But time will tell. I hope the dude turns it around. I hope the Mavs are able to build a contender on Luka, because damn, man, y'all have an unbelievable superstar.
Yeah. And I like the thing about the Kid and Nico hiring that I like so much. I mean, at the time, I did not like the Kid hiring. I just want to throw that out there. Like, I didn't like it. I don't think too many Mavs fans did. But Nico hiring, I think most people liked. But looking at it now, it's like you get everybody says the shoe salesman or whatever for Nico. That's a little bit disrespectful because he was like super high up at Nike. But, he has a ton of relationships around the league. You mentioned that earlier, how after he got hired, there was just a huge outpouring from NBA players like, congrats. And Kid, who by most accounts is pretty friendly with his players. Like, I know that he's had his moments where he's been hard on guys, but like Giannis loves him. Like Giannis loved Kid. He said it before. Like, I think it was Cuban sort of saying, okay, we need, like, Rick Carlisle's a great coach, but he is kind of a dinosaur in today's NBA in the sense that it's his way or the highway. You can't really be that way anymore with players. You just can't. So let's get like a friendlier coach in here who's also a good coach, and let's get a GM with. I mean, who the hell is ever talking about Donnie Nelson, right? Let's get a GM in here who has good relationships around the league, people like. So I think it was. I like the hirings, obviously. I like the Nico hiring at first. Kid, I didn't like, but in retrospect,
you can kind of tell like the quality of the person you had in that position, where after you fire them or after they leave, are people clamoring to hire them and bring them on their team. And Donnie Nelson is still unemployed, as is like a bum like Steve Mills, who came in and completely wrecked the Knicks, or Glenn Grunwald, who I think is the president of Canadian basketball now, but is not an exec in the NBA capacity like he was with us, or Isaiah Thomas or Phil Jackson. All these
Isaiah
guys
Thomas was the worst.
I mean, it was unbelievable. That's the darkest period in Knicks history.
Yeah. I think another thing too with Donnie is that relationship soured very fast. So I don't know, maybe there's some blackmail going on. I mean, it was not a good departure. Like, I forgot what the exact claims were, but
even if it was dark, I mean, no other team is trying to pick him up. You don't hear about him even being an advisor or visiting other practices. Like, I think he'll probably just end up selling weed like his dad. Like, I don't see him continuing a career in the NBA at all.
That's a nice career, though. 20-year NBA GM, I get fired, and then I get to go and sell weed for the rest of my life.
And won a championship during that time.
And won a championship. That's right. Could be way worse.
I would give Carlisle more credit than I would Donnie.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, that was still a good team, though. That's kind of what I think maybe Cuban's looking at that 2011 team. Like, conventionally, you look at NBA, like, champions, and that team definitely stands out. It I mean, Kid's a Hall of Famer, obviously, but he wasn't in his prime. But it doesn't have, like, the multiple Hall of Famers at a singular time in their prime the way most championship teams do. But it was still a really good team. Like, very well built, very balanced. They catered to Dirk's strengths. They knew. I feel that current Mavs are doing that. I'm not saying the roster's on the level of 2011 or anything, but it's still, I see what they're trying to do. I see, okay, we want shooters. We want guys who are very switchable defensively. We have all of that. We don't really need, I mean, I don't think this team thinks they need a secondary all-star. I really don't. I disagree with them, but it just seems from what Luka says, from what the team does, like, I don't think they think they need it either. I don't know.
I think the problem is they had a Jason Terry and Brunson, a guy who could be that, and they lost him. going to be difficult to get that again. I don't think Spencer Dinwiddie is that guy, but they really need to figure out a way to bring in some youth and surround Luka with some guys who can grow alongside him and build their skill set alongside him as well.
Okay, well, before we leave, this channel is known for its delusion and its propaganda. That's what we do. All right. So, what do you think that the highest ceiling for the Knicks is a 6 seed? That's what you think? Okay. I'm going to tell you why I think the Mavs can win the finals. Right? It's a little bit more realistic. It's a little bit more realistic for the Mavs than the Knicks. But just as a thought exercise, just for fun, you have to tell me why you think the Knicks can win the finals. And make it not like every team has a bus crash. Like it has to be like something serious. I'll start first, right? Here we go. Number 1, Luka Doncic, right? Let's just start with that. You have whenever you're talking about championship teams, top end teams, Luka Doncic checks like the first 8 boxes. You have your superstar. You have your engine offensively. You have your guy who can go out and get you 35, 40 points when you need it. You have your guy who can get you a tough basket when you need it. You have your guy who can set up others, right? Not a terrible defender. Not great. Not good even. But just, not bad when he doesn't want to be bad. And you have this player who's just so cerebral in that everything that he does, the Mavs just move off of it, right? And he's probably the best engine the NBA has currently offensively. Then you have your defense. Typically, most NBA champions are top 10 defenses and top 10 offenses. That's just usually how it goes. Mavs were 7th defensively last year. I think they're around that again. I think they're a really good defense. Losing Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson's actually a decent defender, especially for his size. I will say that. But, you're not losing much. And then you're adding JaVale McGee, anchor defensively. I don't know how much time he's going to get in the playoffs. But you have your anchor defensively, a rim protector the Mavs haven't had in a long time. KP was a great help side defender, but he's not really a rim protector. Maxi Kleber, one of the most versatile bigs in the entire NBA, maybe by a lot of statistics, the most versatile big in how he can switch onto the perimeter and stuff in the NBA. Dorian Finney-Smith, 99th percentile defensive matchup difficulty, 99th percentile defensive versatility rating all over the court. Reggie Bullock, great point of attack defender, good wing defender, can shoot the threes. This team is just built so good. Chat, I need to get something going, okay? Because I'm starting to hype myself up here. All right, they can shoot. You have Spencer Dinwiddie, who I like more than you, I guess. I saw him hit big shots, and I think here his role is way, way less than anywhere he's been in his career, really. Like, he's asked to do way less than anywhere else he's been in his career. Maybe that's a little bit different this year, but still, at Washington, he's supposed to be the starting point guard where, like, he's handling the ball and initiating offense. It's not going to happen here, right? Same with Brooklyn. He was pretty good in Brooklyn. He was a 20-5 guy before he got hurt that 1 year. But then you have a great coach. This team is battle-tested. This core, this group, like Luka, Brunson, I'm sorry, not Brunson, Luka, Dorian, Maxey, they're 5 postseason series in, 6 postseason series in, something like that. And they've been competitive every single postseason series they've been in, besides the Warriors, right? Which, whatever, the Warriors are a juggernaut. And now they have that experience, that deep playoff run. They saw it firsthand, right? The Warriors just hit a gear. They just know, that organization knows what it takes to win a championship. They know that there's that gear, that next level you have to reach to get there. The Mavs just weren't ready for it for a lot of different reasons. But you saw it firsthand what it needs. And really, it all comes back to Luka Doncic. And that's why they are a championship contender this year. I truthfully believe that. There's a world where they finish as a 1 seed. I truthfully believe that. I think their ceiling is probably closer to 3 or 4. And that's where I'm at. They can be a top 7 defense. I'm really there defensively. That's where I'm at with the Mavericks. They're a great defense. They switch everything. They're a modern defense too.
As incredibly delusional as that was, anything is possible when you have a talent like Luka Doncic.
Yeah, that's really what it comes down to.
You really can't bet against that. He's a singular force. We've only seen a few times. LeBron, Kobe, Jordan, Hakeem, Shaq,
Dirk.
Dirk, yeah, on 2011. Before 2011, I wouldn't put Dirk in that conversation. But anything's possible on offense. I mean, the dude is he's a bucket. For me, and the Knicks to win a championship is even more delusional.
Yeah.
As that would be. And the Mavs have way better chance than the Knicks do now and in the future. I think that we would have to really harken back to the magic of a 9-9 finals run when we were the 8th seed. And really went on this magical tear right before the Dolan years really went dark. And we entered those ages of doom and gloom. And I think that we have some connections to that time. Tom Thibodeau was an assistant. Jalen Brunson is the son of Rick Brunson, who was a role player during that period. I think we kind of have a team. It's the sum of its parts. I think we have guys that can fill that role. But that 99 team had LJ and Sprewell, Houston, Ward, Childs, Camby, an old Patrick Ewing. It was a really solid team where everyone really knew the part they had to play. And this Knicks team is very similar. We're definitely 10 deep. So if RJ Barrett could ascend to, I don't think superstars ever in his future, but a solid 25 point per game type player. Randall either hits his magic of 2021 season, or Leon Rose has a goal to chip him out of town and unlock Obi Toppin. Mitch becomes an unbelievable bruiser on defense, continues to block shots, rebound, and provide interior presence. And Jalen Brunson becomes an all-star. I think he will be.
Woo.
He's averaging 25, 5 and 5. That team and all the role players at Fournier, Grimes, Rose, IQ, also maximizing their talents. You go to the final. I'd say, man, you're really killing me saying to win a championship, but it's too early in the day to drink. Magic would have to happen. Leon Rose and Tom Thibodeau would have to really exercise their worst demons and be willing to make super home run trades and really change the way that they coach and allow for more flexibility in the rotations, play Obi more than Randall, and really see what we got in this group of kids where everyone can see the potential, but we haven't seen it actualized yet. And until Thibodeau is willing to bend the knee a little bit and allow these kids to play, it'll remain that way.
Man, that would be – I'm just hearing you talk about it. There's something about the Knicks. If that were to happen, that would be very magical for NBA fans.
Yeah, if you're still a Knicks fan at this point in time, you're either delusional, terminal, or a glutton for punishment. Yeah. And I started watching right when Dolan bought the team. So all I've known, I saw that run, and then it was pure misery. And I lived through the Isaiah Thomas years. I saw the Carmelo years, who I'm way too much of a fan of. And then, oh, damn, here comes Phil Jackson. And it was like just as bad. Steve Mills, just as bad. And here we are now with like a functioning, nominal franchise. We're nothing special. But we're not what we were. And that's a win for us Net fans. There's something to be hopeful for. We have a cachet of draft picks. We have a young core. And we got some players of promise. Let's go.
We did I love it. I love it. That was fun. We did an exercise not too long ago where we were talking like disgruntled players, because I'm sure the Knicks will be literally at the front of the line for pretty much any disgruntled superstar over the next couple years. Is there any guys you have like circled where it's like, if this situation looks like it could go wrong quickly?
SGA, Zion, and Luka, all three hyper delusional.
Get Luka out.
He's my favorite player. That's why he's on the list. I think if you gutted half this roster and gave up our entire chest of draft picks, he'd have dragged RJ Barrett, Brunson, and Mitchell Robinson to a championship. I really believe that. But realistic, I think Zion, it just feels like at some point, even though I really love what the Pelicans have done, I actually think they're a contender this year. Yeah. They're a really well-constructed roster with a great young coach in Willie Green, and David Griffin showing that is the exec we thought him to be in Cleveland. Zion would be him and RJ reuniting. I don't care about Cam Reddish, but him and RJ, wow, that would be unbelievable. And I've always loved SGA. After Luka, SGA is my next favorite player.
SGA is my favorite non-Mav.
Yeah, those are my three guys that I would love to have in a Knicks uniform. When I'm high, drunk, stoned, and passed out.
I mean, Zion, like, it's nothing against the Pelicans. That's the Pelicans track record. It just is what it is. Guys don't stay there.
It's funny you say that. I just finished a piece for Deadspin about like the history of the Pelicans and how it leads up to this moment. And I chart what happened with Chris Paul, what happened with Anthony Davis, what was about to happen with Zion Williamson until that CJ McCollum trade, which I really think turned the tide on the next 3 or 4 years of that rookie extension, that Zion trade. So.
I mean, I'm a proponent. I wish Zion would stay there. Like, that's what I like. I love that Giannis is a Buck for life. I love that Dame's a Trailblazer for life. I think earlier you were talking about superstars demanding trades. I actually looked at it. It's not as common as like our brains tell us it is. Like, the guys who move a bunch. Like, the top end stars, like LeBron has moved for a player of his caliber kind of a lot. He's
Durant.
Yeah, Durant's moved a bunch. Kawhi's moved a bunch. It's like the guys who move, and the guys who don't. Steph, I mean, Giannis and Luka are still pretty early in their careers, and like Jokic, but Dame. It's kind of weird how like our brains tell us. I mean, Devin Booker, Tatum. I know these are younger guys, but how our brains like, oh, like yeah, Luka's gonna request a trade at some point. Like Zion's gonna request a trade. It's not guaranteed. But I do agree. The Pelicans just have a track record, and I hope he stays. They're good. They have a better team than Anthony Davis ever had.
Yeah, or Chris Paul. Chris Paul had David West, Tyson Chandler, Pedro Stojakovic, David West. So
early Tyson Chandler too.
Nothing compared to Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum, Valanciunas, who's wildly underrated.
Yeah.
I think the guys that stay within 3 or 4 years, their front office really built a decent team around them. One that could compete not just now, but in the future as well. And the guys that end up leaving, I think that it was pretty much, a done deal from the get-go.
Yeah. The Kevin Durant one is always the one where it's like, man, you had, I mean, pretty much from year 2 or 3, you had it. Like you had a top 3 team in the league your entire time there when healthy. And then he was just like, I'm out.
I hope Zion stays too. I think, man, they've really crushed free agency. They've pressed trades. They've done a great job in the draft. I mean, Herb Jones is a huge pickup. Jose Alvarado, Trey Murphy the third. Like, wow. Even Dyson Daniels this year, he could be something because I think that's the one position they need help at his point guard. We had Devontae Graham and Alvarado, but Dyson Daniels could slot in as that backup point guard and provide them what they need when the ball is not in CJ's hands.
They love some of the Pelicans fans I follow on Twitter absolutely love him. So we'll see. Obviously, you can't like rookies and fan bases are always you can't trust what you see, but they really like him. Mine is always Paul George. I always just circle the wagons on Paul George. Like if the Clippers collapse this year again, are they like okay, let's blow this up before it's way too late?
I think so. Yeah.
That's
sure.
I mean, Paul George and Luka. Wow, that is like it's almost hard to find a better wing player.
Paul George is like the consummate number 2 guy. He was a number 1 for a long time in Indiana. I don't think that was his role, but as a number 2 guy, he might be the best number 2 in the NBA.
Yeah,
which makes the Clippers so lethal. If he joined Luka, immediate championship.
And that's too like he's been the number 2. It's not like you would bring in like a Devin Booker and you're like, all right, D-Book, your role is dramatically reduced. Like Paul George is like, yep, like this is who I am. Bam too is like I've always said Bam Adebayo was built in a lab to play with Luka Doncic. I don't know how how badly that situation would have to deteriorate for him to be available. But
it might be on its way. I'm not a huge fan of the Miami Heat. I think they're capped out in terms of talent and ceiling. I don't see how much better they can get. I think they only get worse.
Yeah, they're kind of like the Suns with me, where they had that finals run that was kind of like crazy, and then the window kind of slammed shut after that.
Perfect comp. Agreed.
Jalen Brown too. I mean, that situation looks like it might be heating up. He's got 2 years left, and some of the stuff, man, like some of the tweets he's liking. I don't know. He says he wants to test free agency, like he just wants to experience free agency. That's never a good sign. Anytime someone says that, it's like, I'm leaving.
Yeah, the issue with me is when I think about those scenarios for the Mavs, what do they give up? It's some combination of like Tim Hardaway Jr.,
5 years of picks,
Josh Green. What picks though? How much is a Mav pick really worth when you not only have Luka, but you're adding another star next to it?
You would have to hope. I mean, the real trade that the Mavs can make, it's not like a huge superstar trade. It would be like the DeJounte Murray trade where the Hawks give up like 3 firsts and no young players really are involved. It would have to be something like that. And what if Jalen Brown's expiring next offseason, though? Could you get him for that? Or is Jalen Brown going to be like, you have to give us your 2 best young players and 5 draft picks?
If they're keeping Tatum, yeah, I think so. If they're blowing the whole thing up, that's a different scenario. But if they're keeping Tatum and Brogdon and Robert Williams III, I think they want some young players too. They don't want to equal that talent a little bit.
Even if Jalen Brown says, I'm out, I'm not re-signing next year, he's a huge flight risk.
I think even still, they're not going to settle for a terrible return.
I do agree. That's why Josh Green has to step up this year. Jaden Hardy has
there
to
it
step
is.
up.
There's a real reason. Trade bait, baby.
I want them to stay forever, but like it would just be nice to have these young players who are like kind of coveted across the league.
Like Jalen Brunson.
He could have been Jalen Brunson, but the weird thing about Jalen Brunson too is he was on the cheapest contract they could possibly be on. So trading him was always kind of like a weird, difficult thing.
Yeah, you would have had to add some of those Tim Hardaway contract, Dwight Powell contract to make it work. Maxey.
But no, Paul George is always the one. I could see it. I think the Clippers are insane. They're the best team in the league, in my opinion. They're just so good and so incredibly deep. And I witnessed with my own 2 eyes, Kawhi was having, before he tore his ACL, the best playoffs I've ever seen in my life.
Right.
In that series against the Mavericks, the 4 games the Clippers won, he shot 100% from the field, 100% from the free throw line, 100% from deep in games that they won in the fourth quarter. He didn't miss a single shot in the fourth quarter in games that they won. The most insane performance I've ever seen. I think they win the championship if he doesn't tear his ACL.
I don't. You talked about Jalen Brown and Paul George. I don't even think Luka needs a player of that caliber. I think if you gave him Pascal Siakam,
ooh, that would be huge. He's
always
always been a name that's thrown out there for the Mavs.
Just see a guy who can give you 20 a game, who won't putter out in the playoffs, who has like a pair on him, that wants to step up in the clutch moments and take some of that heat off Luka's back. Just had a guy of that caliber, man. I mean, can I sell you on Julius Randle?
Hey, Dallas kid, he likes playing here. He always goes off here. Always, even this year when he was terrible, he went. You remember that he went nuclear here, and he was like, "This is my gym." I was like, "Oh my god!" Something about the Knicks and Mavs games, like the Mavs just always shit themselves.
Yeah, well, MSG is not his gym because that's RJ's gym, so he has to try to find another one.
How long would it take until is like RJ just always going to be the darling, or how long is it until Knicks fans are like, okay, it's time for you to actually like be really good?
If those shooting splits never improve, if he's like 42% field goal percentage, 34, 35 from 3, I think the criticism will come. He's just, I mean, for a 21, 22-year-old, he's really surpassed expectations. I think he's been. It's also his affable, lovable character too. He loves being in New York. When's the last time a player loved being in New York? I can't even recall.
And he hustles, plays defense. Like you at least have to respect that.
He lights he lights those clutch moments too. He lives for him, and he plays great defense. He's always guarding other players, toughest matchup. So he's just he's very lovable. He's the opposite of what makes Randall so hateable.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I feel like New York. I think Philly's probably the harshest one. Well, they will just shit on you if you're doing bad no matter what. Like, It doesn't matter how hard you're trying. Like, they will absolutely – that's how I think about Tobias Harris. Like, the guy tries his ass off, and he's pretty good. Like, obviously, $45 million, no. But he tries. He has his moments, and they hate his guts. New York, it does seem like if you at least try, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. It's the effort. And RJ always brings that effort, even if his shooting splits are like dog shit sometimes. He's always playing as hard as he possibly can. It's one of the reasons why New Yorkers as a whole, both in MSG and outside MSG, across the nation, really have an admiration for him. And Randall doesn't have that. It's why they boo Randall in MSG and they chant Obi's name. But when Obi comes in a game, he might only score 9 points, but he's dying for loose balls.
Yeah.
He's putting his chest out there to take hard fouls. So.
Well, you guys are going to love Brunson. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I already do.
The charging, I mean, he'll probably lead the league. Did he lead the league in charges last year? I don't remember. That's usually like Lowry or Fred VanVleet's territory, but he's always towards the top. I saw him take a couple nights ago. And it was just like, yep, that's what he does. I'm going to root for, like, the unpopular opinion I have is I'm rooting for Brunson. I love him. I've always loved him. Second round pick, came in, immediately was good, got better every year, never complained. Even after a terrible postseason series, came back the next year, took a giant leap forward, and won us a playoff series pretty much. The first playoff series in 11 years that we won. So I'll miss him. I'll root for him. I have no ill will towards him. Unless he comes out and is like, yeah, fuck the Mavericks. I'm so happy I left that piece of shit organization. I'll be like, oh, well, chill out, dude. But
he hasn't went there. I don't think he ever will. He said he has nothing but good things to say about Dallas and nothing but good things to say about Luka.
That's what I'm saying. I just think it was just like stars aligned so perfectly for him to leave and go to New York where he has ties to, very deep ties to. The money was there. The Knicks wanted him badly. Like, it just was a recipe for disaster for the Mavericks, really. And the unrestricted free agency, which really was the worst part.
Your takes have been so measured and appreciated. I think I'm going to start rooting for the Mavs this season. I'm definitely not going to hate and be harsh on them like I usually am. This has been I've really enjoyed talking Mavs with you. It's very different than a lot of the conversations I have, so I appreciate that.
I'm a fan's fan. I root for my team, but it's respectfully. I always say I don't have a team that I hate in the NBA, so it's not like, I mean, I always laugh at the Suns because it's funny, but I don't hate them. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I don't hate them. I don't have a team that I hate. In the NFL, it's different, but I don't even watch the NFL anymore because, God, there's just so much shit.
The only team I hate is Brooklyn.
Brooklyn Nets? See, like I feel like it's how can you even hate them? Like I guess it's different because you're a Knicks fan, but it's just like they don't have a huge fan base.
Don't have any fan base.
That's what I'm saying. It's like my thing with hating teams is usually almost always boils down to the fan base. And it's like the NBA fan bases, they just feel, I guess it's also too, because the Mavs don't really currently have like a big rival. It used to be the Spurs, but now the Spurs
Suns?
are terrible. How are you a rival when you just beat a team by 40 points in Game 7 on the road? That's not a rivalry. That's a ownership. That's what I say about the Clippers too. Like, are they our rivals? I mean, they beat us twice in the playoffs and we haven't beat them. Like, usually there has to be some type of back and forth for there to be like a real rivalry. Which I'm saying is like, is there one in the NBA right now? There was the Cavs and Warriors, obviously. And that would have been so much more fun if KD didn't go. Like, imagine 4 years of that very even matchup. Because those Cavs teams were disgustingly good. But they just went up against the greatest team in the history of basketball. I know they don't have like a single season record, but that Warriors team was.
I lose a hell of a coach. He's unbelievable at scheme and defense. I think he's the best coach in the NBA.
Yeah, he's definitely up there. I think Spoelstra probably is. The Heat, it's just, there's something about the Heat. They're just always, it doesn't matter who it is. Max Strus, who the hell is that guy? It doesn't matter. He's now a huge rotational player. Yurtseven, who the fuck is that? Doesn't matter. Gabe Vincent, who the hell is that guy? Doesn't matter. He's like a huge rotational player now. Insane. I guess Ty Lue's kind of like that too, because you watch the Clippers like, Amir Coffey? Okay. I guess he's good now.
It doesn't matter who gets injured. Next man up plays just as hard as the one that he replaced.
Yeah, he's a great coach. That's what I'm hoping Kidd gets to.
He's had their chance of getting there, I think, than Tom Thibodeau.
The Mavs, Thibodeau's kind of a dinosaur.
True.
The Mavs like won some COVID games last year where it was like, wow, that was a crazy win. Like Sterling Brown dropped like 30 points.
Sterling Brown, man. He's a former SMU Mustang. I love the Mustangs.
I love Sterling Brown. I don't know. Is he even on an NBA team currently? Was he in that? So. Was he on that trade to the Thunder? Like he got traded to the Rockets. Did he? And they waived him? The Mavs can get him back then, right? Isn't that how the rule works? If you get traded to a team and waived?
I mean,
I'm not saying they want to.
More potential.
I will always laugh at him on the bench. He has his like sweatpants on, but his over his hoodie is off. So he has his jersey on, like on the bench watching the game, tucked into his sweatpants. Hilarious. I always love that image. All right, this stream's been going on a long time. Lee Escobedo, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a lot of fun.
I'm actually hopping on another pod tonight with my boys in the Time Show. We got Ian Bedley on. We're going to be picking Ian Bedley's brain with the SNY news on the next season and rumors and behind-the-scenes stuff. So check it out. Yep, and check out his other stuff, too. I actually read your article on Deadspin about Russell Westbrook and the Mavs. It's been pissed off fans.
No, it's something that's been thrown out there by some Mavs fans, but it's only for like financial and draft pick. It's not like we need Russ.
It's a low risk, high reward, 1 year, tryout. That's it. And give up your worst contracts and give them. Don't include any picks. There's just no way in hell the Mavs would ever do that. But I would be interested in it if we were to go out there. All right, man. Thanks for coming by. Appreciate you. Yep. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Lee Escobedo, Nick of Time show on YouTube. You guys should go check it out. It's important. I saw a lot of you get upset in the chat. It's important that we have conversations like that with non-Mavs fans. It just is. It's important to have those conversations. No other Mavs fans feel the way, or no other people in the NBA feel the way about the Mavs that Mavs fans do. I need you guys to understand that. Like, we're approaching that level as a fan base, which is fine. I like it. But you got to understand, when you're trying to sell people on Josh Green and, Spencer Dinwiddie, who has a reputation, most people are going to be like, what the hell? What are you talking about? And it's different because for a lot of Mavs fans, like, they only watch the Mavs. They don't watch other teams. Dinwiddie's disrespectful? Yeah. I've heard way more disrespectful plays on names than Dinwiddie. But anyways, that was fun. Can somebody explain to me what's going... Okay, we're about to cut the stream off because it's been going on a very long time. I wasn't even really planning on streaming today. But we will be live tomorrow for the Mavs game, 7 o'clock. And it does sound
right? That game's at 7 o'clock. Let me make sure. Anytime we have a guest on now, I'm gonna bombard them with that at the end. I wasn't even planning on doing that. Give me a reason your team's gonna win the championship. It's just always fun to be delusional. You know what I mean? There's just something about it. Oh god, the 36ers play the Thunder. Thunder are only 15-point favorites. That's actually crazy. Yeah, the Mavs play tomorrow at 7:30. The Magic. That should be fun. Hopefully Paolo's playing. Hopefully Franz is playing. I know he didn't play the last game. Hopefully he's playing. That'll be a fun one. That's a fun little preseason matchup. It's always fun playing like the younger teams, because then you get to look at some of their guys. It's just weird that the Mavs only have 3 preseason games. I don't know what the deal is with that. I'm not complaining really, but unless they're like waiting to schedule another one, they only have 3. That's probably the lowest out of any team, right? Luka, it does sound like Luka's playing tomorrow. At least that's what was said. Jason Kidd said last night Luka Doncic will likely play in Mavs preseason home game Friday versus Magic. I would say that he's going to probably participate Friday, and we'll see again who's feeling better, but hopefully JaVale and those guys are ready to go. And then it's a week-long break. First preseason game, I don't mind not playing people, but at a certain point, I want to start playing people. I want people to play in the preseason. I do. And I know Luka played all summer, but still, I want to see him out there in a preseason game for sure. We got enough cheerleaders in DL. Yeah, that's true. I don't actually want Sterling Brown back. I was just saying, could he come back? I was a little bit confused about that rule. Because I know, obviously, if you get traded and a team buys you out, you can't go back to the team that trades you. But I think if you get traded and then traded to another team and then bought out, then you can go back to the team that traded you originally. I think that's how the rule is. I'm trying to remember what player that was a big discussion about, but I can't. Kid said the Mavs are supposed to have a 4th preseason exhibition game, but plans fell through. Okay, that makes sense. Does that mean we can get Trey Burke to fill a Trey Burke role? Was he in that Thunder trade too? If so, I think so, yeah. That would actually be funny. I think most Mavs fans say that ironically, who's going to fill the Trey Burke role? It's oh, Trey Burke's actually back? Oh, he's actually playing minute. Oh, okay. Monkey paw. I'm interested in McKinley Wright. Does he have a shot to make the team? That's actually what I want to know. Is he just kind of here because we need bodies, or is he playing for a spot? I'm a little bit intrigued by that. Trey Burke to fill a Trey Burke role. That's honestly hilarious. But no, that was a good interview. I want to do that more on streams. Really no reason not to. I just thought it would be fun to have a Knicks fan on, for the Brunson stuff. You guys know, I just can't bring myself to not like Jalen Brunson. I'm not, obviously when he plays the Mavs, I'm not going to be rooting for him. But I just can't root against him. I don't know he's just a good dude. He plays hard. He's good. I just can't. I can't bring myself to do it as much as I want to. You can't hate Suns and Jazz fans. It's honestly sad. No, I think you can hate Suns fans. I'm sorry. I think you can. You want to see his defense, though? McKinley Wright? I don't think McKinley Wright would be on the team for defense. I think it would be we need somebody who can dribble the basketball and set up an offense right now. But hopefully the Magic are playing their guys a little bit more. And we get a better look at some decent NBA competition. I mean, the thing for the Mavs, they're playing the Thunder, the Magic, and the Jazz. So you're playing probably 3 of the 7 worst teams in the NBA. So Trey Burke would get a double trade kicker plus a minimum. Not bad. And the Mavs only have to pay the minimum, right? And the other teams will pay the trade kicker? How does that work? Yeah, that'd be pretty good for him. What games do we have on tonight? Obviously, there's an NFL game. You have the softball game. Woo! Big softball games tonight. Doubleheader, baby. Oh, I'm feeling like Aaron Judge. I'm going for the home run record in my softball league this year. I have 0 so far with only about 3 weeks to go, but maybe I can heat up. NBA-wise, we got Heat Nets. 36ers versus Thunder. I can't imagine the Thunder playing too many people back-to-back. Preseason, that's kind of brutal. Magic Spurs. I might watch that actually, or at least watch the replay. What's Maccabi? What is that? Trailblazers, Timberwolves, Lakers. Are the Lakers playing 15 fucking preseason games? Oh my God, the Lakers have 6 preseason games. Six preseason games. The Hawks only have 4. The Nets, it feels like the Nets. Okay, the Nets only have 4. Hornets, have they even played? Yeah, they have. Man, I just don't. The Hornets are just kind of gross to me this year, honestly, guys. I just think they're stinky. I guess most teams have 4. I don't know why the Lakers have 200. And the Mavericks with 3. And it's the Thunder, Magic, and Jazz. Interesting. All right, ladies and gentlemen. It was a fun stream today. Thank you, Lee Escobedo, for coming out. Long conversation. I didn't expect for it to be that long. But you guys know me. I can just fucking talk all day, honestly. I guess I love the sound of my own voice, huh? But anyways, thank you guys for coming out today. It was a fun stream. Remember, you guys can always go back and rewatch the streams whenever you want. They're on the channel. They're on a playlist. We talked about Jalen Brunson. Wish him the best. You know, I could see how I was starting to convince him a little bit about the Mavs. Tomorrow night, I will be live at 7, probably 7 p.m. Central Standard Time for the Mavericks game. They play at 7:30. We're going to watch it. I think this one is actually on TV. Right? I don't think we have to watch a scuffed stream. I think we can actually watch this game normally, thankfully. Hopefully my setup will be better. I'll have everything ready to go. And then next week, man. Woo! Next week is preview week. Next week is preview week. I'm pretty excited for that. I'm just excited. I'm super excited for this season, man. It's just something. I just feel really good about it. I feel really good about the Mavs. I just feel really good about everything going on. I just do. Thank you guys for coming out today. It was a lot of fun. All the OGs, you guys know I love you very much. Could have spent your Thursday afternoon anywhere in the world. You decided to spend it here. New subscribers, new members, donations. Thank you guys so much. You don't have to do that. When you do, it makes my heart happy. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Mavs versus the Magic, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time when the game starts. I'll be live at 7 o'clock. Enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good day tomorrow, Friday. Let's finish the week strong. Talk to you guys later. Goodbye.